Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku and Mina Came Into a Relationship? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. Author's note: I was reading my other one-shot stories, Values, and Izuku x Ibara fanfic. When I thought, how would that conversation go if it was the opposite situation? If the problem was that Izuku's partner was too free with her sexuality. And so this story came into description. Ages: 19 at their final year of UA. Canon divergent. Izuku kept his powers and kept his place in the hero course, because that awful ending. Izuku's feet were in pain. He could feel the familiar sensation of his legs being fractured from overusing his powers, but he didn't care. He needed to make it in time. He needed to stop this, or else he'll never be able to live with himself. Izuku saw the locked door and used his super strength to ram his body against it, breaking it open and letting Izuku into the roof of the huge building, the air hitting his face as he breathed heavily, looking around for her, and he spotted her there. His girlfriend. Or ex-girlfriend since a few hours ago, if the text that she sent was to be believed. Izuku screamed at her before she even took another step. Izuku, Mina. Mina, hey Midori. Just in time. Mina said in a sort of calm tone that terrified Izuku. Mina didn't even look back at him. She kept looking out at the city of thousands of people who wouldn't care if there was one less doing it. The machine of their society would keep turning if one stupid girl was gone from it. Izuku, for his part, felt a mix of relief and anger at Mina. Relief that he got here in time, but anger over what she was planning on doing. He started to walk closer to his girlfriend of 2 years and felt his heart drop when she started to walk close to the edge. Izuku, what the hell? The text? You break up with me over a text, and then you write that I was the best thing that happened to you? Mina, yep. I wouldn't get too close. The closer you get to me, the closer I'll get to the edge. Mina said again in a calm tone, as if she has already accepted what she'll be doing. She was going to jump. To end it all and do one last good act by getting out of Izuku's way so he can be with somebody that is as good as he is and not this used rag that nobody wants. Izuku deserves so much better. Izuku felt his mouth get dry as he took a step back and just kept talking, a desperation in his tone as he spoke to his girlfriend again. Izuku, Mina. Stop this. You're scaring me to death right now. Mina, sorry. Guess that's just another reason why this is for the best. Mina said with a shrug, as she looked down at the ground. It was a long way down. All she needs to do is jump the safety railings, and then it would all be over. Even Izuku with his quirk wouldn't be able to jump and grab her in time before she takes this step. She was just disappointed. A used-up toy that Izuku shouldn't be playing with anymore, but he was too kind of a person to stop playing with her. So she'll make that choice for him. She'll free him from the shame of being Mina Ishido's boyfriend. Izuku's desperation was getting worse as he spoke with a crack in his voice. Izuku, no. Not even close. What the hell is going on? Talk to me. Please. Mina, don't act like you don't know. The leaks. Mina said softly, but Izuku heard it, and now he knew what this was about. The leaks. Videos came out of Mina having SXL relations with multiple people, from their school and from her old school, but not just videos, even texts and pictures of what she did with them. All of it before Izuku and Mina got together. Obviously, Mina would never cheat on her lucky rabbit. Not that it mattered much now in the end. Izuku spoke with a softer expression, knowing the pain that Mina was going through. Izuku. Mina. I understand your pain. Mina. Understand? You understand? The whole school is treating me like a hippie where. Even my best friend told me that he doesn't want to hang out with me anymore. How can you possibly understand? Mina screamed at her now ex-boyfriend, finally turning around and looking at him with a furious expression. Izuku looked at the face of the girl he fell for. Her eyes were puffy, there were visible tear stains running down her cheeks from her ruined mascara, and her eyes were red from how aggressively Mina rubbed them to clean her tears, smearing her makeup even more. She looked absolutely destroyed over those stupid videos. Izuku gave a small frown as he got an idea on how to quite literally take Mina off the ledge. Izuku, more than you know. Can I tell you a story? Mina, I don't care. Mina said in a numb tone, which made Izuku want to reach out and hug her, but he knew what that would lead to. So like finding a stray cat who was spicy and hissing at you, Izuku started to give it a bit of food to show it he was friendly. Izuku took a deep breath and started telling a story that he has kept to himself and a very select few. Mina at the time wasn't one of them. An action that made Izuku hate himself, since maybe if he did, this could have been avoided. Izuku there was once this boy with green hair and a boy with blonde hair. They were the best of friends. That is until they turned the blonde boy got a power. The power of explosion. While the green-haired boy, Mina, super strength. How the F is that? Mina started to say in anger, questioning why Izuku was being so cryptic about the story when he wasn't even good at it. She gets it, Bakugo got an explosion quirk, and Izuku got a super strength quirk. How in the F did that make Izuku think that he could understand her pain of being insulted? Of being mocked? Of being pushed around over an action that doesn't affect anybody but herself, and yet everybody acted like it was their problem and made sure to make Mina know that. Izuku, though, spoke over her and continued the story, telling his girlfriend a truth about himself. Izuku, no. The boy was diagnosed as quirkless. Giftless. Without any powers. Mina, what? Midori, you have a power, stop bullshitting me. Mina said with a shake of her head, feeling a little insulted that Izuku was trying to play games with her in their final moments. Izuku was born with powers. They were the same powers that allowed him to run fast enough to get here by the time Mina made it to the rooftop of a building on the other side of the city. He had a power. So right now he was lying to her. Izuku gave a strained smile to Mina, as he felt his guilt grow over keeping this secret from her for so long. Izuku, can you name me one time I lied to you? A time I wasn't truthful with you? Mina. How does the story continue? Mina said reluctantly, as skepticism left her from those two simple questions. She knew her Midori to be honest, to a fault, and when he did lie, he was a terrible liar. It's why she always won at poker with him for his candy chips. So, she knew that he was right. He was telling the truth. Somehow he didn't get any powers when he went to the doctor. Izuku, seeing that he got a foot in the door, kept going, showing Mina more of his past, but still keeping it vague, since he was more concentrated on keeping Mina alive than on telling a coherent story. Izuku, the blonde boy, abused the green-haired boy. Used his body for target practice, all because the green-haired boy didn't give up on his dream of being a hero. This continued for years, until one day an incident happened. Mina, what type of incident? Mina asked softly as she hugged herself, feeling some anger, hearing that people abused her lucky rabbit. More than that Bakugo Katsuki did that made Mina sick that she was ever his friend. And it made her even more disgusted with herself that she gave her body to her with Kirishima in a deal. It made her want to throw up, but she somehow kept that vile feeling in her throat in control. Izuku nodded as he continued, remembering the day that changed the trajectory of his life. Izuku, the blonde boy, got attacked by a villain. The green-haired boy, even without any powers, jumped into the fray to help, since the heroes weren't going to do anything. Mina, the sludge villain on the news. Oh my god, that was you. Mina said with her eyes widening in realization. She remembered that fight since she was there in the crowd. She can't believe that she never connected the dots that the reckless boy and her boyfriend were one and the same. But now that she did it, it made way too much sense. Only her lucky rabbit would be stupid enough to risk his life for another person, even if that person was his abuser, since that was just the type of person that Izuku was. A better person than almost anybody. Izuku rubbed the back of his head, remembering how ready he was to just throw his life away like that, for just a second of being seen as a hero. Izuku, guess I can skip that part. The number one hero came, and the green-haired boy asked him if somebody without powers could be a hero. And he said no. Mina, he told you what? Mina yelled, shocked, and Izuku saw that as a win since Mina took a step closer to him when he said that. Now if it was on purpose or because of Mina's fiery temper, Izuku didn't know or care. It was a win. Izuku nodded, remembering that day, remembering the last couple of years till the pinnacle of his hero career at the moment. Tag teaming with Stars and Stripes and stopping Shigaraki once and for all, without needing to make any more sacrifices. Stars and Stripe got to keep her life, and Izuku got to keep his powers. But back to the start of it all, Izuku kept telling the story. Izuku, at first. He said no at first. After some shenanigans, he changed his mind and did believe the green-haired boy could be a hero. So he gave him his power. One for all. Mina, that doesn't make any sense. Mina said, confused, since that sounded ridiculous. Unless you were like a major villain like AFO, you couldn't give your power to somebody, and Izuku just told her that Professor Yagi did exactly that with Izuku. Izuku gave a crooked smile at Mina as he reminded her that they lived in a world that, by the laws of nature, just didn't make a lick of sense. They've got a classmate with a beak for a mouth, and yet he is able to talk normally. Izuku, we live in a world with superpowers that genetically should be impossible to have. For example, your acid realistically should dissolve you from the inside, and you're talking about things not making sense? Mina, fair point. So, that's why in the first year you were so bad? You never really trained with it, huh? Mina asked absent-mindedly. For a moment she completely forgot what she was up here to do and remembered Izuku in their first year, how he broke his bones every single time, and how she used to think he was a little cute but not much more than that. How wrong her old self was, since having Izuku by her side were the best 2 years of her short life. But those times were over. Thanks to those leaks, she can't be with Izuku. She couldn't do that to him. Izuku nodded as he kept trying to pull Mina closer to him. Izuku, yup. But that's not the point of the story. I didn't have any powers, everybody in my school called me more names than I can remember, all meaning the same thing, useless. So believe me, I know what you're going through. Please, walk back from the edge. Mina, it was a nice story, Midori. Really, to us. But I'm not you. All that story did is confirm what I did. Look at you. You're a real hero. A champion. And me? I'm just a FNG where who should have it in her mouth. Mina said with tears threatening to escape her eyes again. Izuku was seen as a true hero. After they graduated their 3rd year of UA, it was pretty much confirmed that Izuku would get a spot in the top 5 heroes of Japan for being able to stop the main 2 of the war. While Mina, all she'll be known for is a girl who didn't see a PP she didn't want to SCK. They were already calling her that online. Izuku shook his head. Izuku, you don't believe that. And I don't either. Mina, yes, I do. I'm aware, Izuku. I dirty, used up wear. I shouldn't be in the hero course. I shouldn't have friends, I shouldn't. I shouldn't have you. Mina said as she sniffled. This was a lot harder to admit now that he was here. This was why she did it through text. She was a coward. She couldn't break up with him face to face. She couldn't do anything right. So it was best if she was out of his equation. Not like anybody would care with how they've been treating her lately while Izuku was busy out there on the field. Izuku scowled a little as he took another step forward and confessed something that was supposed to be a secret. Izuku, I'm sorry. But you don't get to make that choice for me. I love you, Mina. I want you. For God's sake, my mom agreed to give me the family ring to give to you. Mina, what? Mina asked with her eyes widening and looking at Izuku in shock. Her eyes trembled in surprise over what she just heard. A ring? A family ring? Izuku was planning on. Mina couldn't even finish that sentence since it would make her break down. Izuku was making a mistake. He couldn't be with her in that way. She was not worth that much. She was just a good time to be passed around. She was not wife material. Izuku swallowed hard as he realized what slipped out, but he didn't regret it. Even if the secret were out, that wouldn't change his plans. Izuku. It was supposed to be a surprise for when we turned, but yeah. I asked her. I knew since our first anniversary. You are the one for me, Mina. No one else. Not now, not ever. So, if you do it. Mina, Izuku, stop. Mina said as her heart jumped up her throat, seeing Izuku take a turn and walk to the railing, holding on to it and jumping over it to the other side. Izuku was holding on to the railing with both hands, as half of his feet were in the air, and the other half was on the concrete of the roof. Like it always does, Izuku's heroic complex took over his rational thinking, only this time it really pushed him to the edge. Izuku moved his head to see Mina with the same fear he had just moments ago. With a firm tone he spoke. Izuku, only if you stop first. Mina, this isn't the same. You have so much to live for, you're going to do so many great things. Mina said as she took a step forward towards him, and then stopped when Izuku took one hand off the railing. Mina felt her heart racing, seeing and feeling how Izuku was feeling when he first got here. The only difference was that Mina came to this conclusion after almost 2 months of toiling over it. Izuku didn't even hesitate to give up his life for her. That was always something that scared Mina about Izuku, him seeing his life as secondary, when between the two of them it was the one that was worth the most. Izuku could feel the air under him, but he kept talking even as his heart was beating faster over his actions. Izuku, and because you had see a lot, you're not? Mina. I can't be with you. I can't do that to you, not to your image. Mina said softly as she rubbed her shoulder. She couldn't handle it. How people would look at them when they were together, how they would judge her, how they would talk behind their back about how pathetic her boyfriend was for deciding to be with somebody with such a high body count, and that's just putting it nicely. Izuku deserved a good girl. A girl like Ibra who saved herself. Not her. Not somebody who didn't realize how important it was to save yourself for somebody special. While Mina was stuck in her own head, accepting every word that others had said about her as fact, Izuku kept hammering home that he loved her. He was devoted to her. That she was more than what others said. Izuku, I have never cared about that. Nor do I care about your past. I love you, Mina. Not just the you now, but the person who you used to be and the person you'll become. I love all 3 versions of you. Why do you love me when you could have so much better? You could be with Momo, Ibara, Pony, or Ochako. You could be with Ochako. She is 10 times better for you than a used-up wear. Mina said in a mix of fury, frustration, and disgust. Izuku was such a terrific boyfriend. He was patient, he was loving, he was protective, and he was everything any person would want in a partner. And yet, he was with her. A girl who, since she was legally allowed, started to explore her body and let others use her because she wanted to feel the pleasure it would bring. What used to make her feel proud of herself about being empowered, right now all it made her feel was disgusted. She hated herself. She hated that she loved Izuku. She hated that she couldn't let him go any other way. Izuku. For one, I'm pretty sure Pony and Momo are gay for each other. Mina, PFFF. I'm pouring my heart out over here. And you're making a joke? Mina heard what Izuku said, and it made a small laugh escape her lips out of just the randomness of it all and how Izuku chose now of all times to be funny. Here they were talking about suicide, talking about Mina being a woman of loose morals, as Ibra has called her numerous times, and Izuku was telling jokes. Izuku gave a small shrug as he kept talking. Izuku, it made you laugh, didn't it? You're right. I could be with them. Just like you could be with Kirishima, Bakugo, Shoto, etc. But why aren't you? Mina. It's not the same thing. Mina said with her head looking down, knowing what Izuku was trying to say, but it just wasn't the same. Izuku could have anybody he wanted. Mina couldn't. Not before, when people thought of her as just some party girl, much less now that those videos were permanently on the internet, and that's not mentioning the physical products that were out there. Nobody would want a woman with such a body count. Nobody except Izuku, who, even on the edge of life and death, still concentrated on her first. Izuku, maybe. But I don't care. You don't want to be with them because you love me. And I love you. I want to be with you. Mina, Izuku. I just can't understand why. Mina said, confused, as her legs just gave up on her and she slowly went down to the floor. She leaned back until her back was against the railing. Hearing this made Izuku climb back to safety and sit down opposite to Mina. Both of them could still jump at any moment, but Izuku managed to convince Mina to doubt herself, to doubt the actions she was so sure moments ago she was going to do. Izuku explained exactly why he was with her. The reasons why he loved her even when it was clear that Mina didn't even love herself. Izuku, Because you make me smile. You make me laugh. You make me feel grounded when my brain overthinks and I begin to ramble. You make me try out new things. You are the spark that set ablaze my mundane life. So, if you snuff it out, I'll become ash alongside you. Mina, people are going to judge you for being with me. They already are. Even Ida had some choice words when he thought I couldn't hear him. Mina said with a deep sigh as she lifted her legs to her chest and hugged them. The words of the public, the words of the people online, the words of their school, of their class, of the people who were supposed to be her friends. It was just overwhelming for Mina to withstand, which brought her to this point. She felt like she was drowning. Something that made Izuku feel horrible about himself, since if he wasn't so desperate to go out there and play the hero, he would have seen the signs. What kind of hero can't even save his own girlfriend? Izuku, I'll break every bone in their body if they dare. Just like I did with Mineta and Nito for doing this to you. Now please, let's keep this fire alive. For the both of us. Mina, I'm ruined goods, Midori. My reputation, my body, everything. It's all used up. Mina said as she freely cried over the fact that that's how people have been seeing her. She can see it in their eyes when they look at her clinging to the arm of her boyfriend. She could read it on the internet, wherever she reads the comments of some article that had the two of them on a date. Everybody called and saw her as aware who wasn't worthy of being with somebody as amazing as Izuku. At first Mina was strong and ignored them. But little by little, those comments added up, to the point that she is here now, where she sees them all as a fact. Izuku shook his head as he gave the girl a bit of a reality check. Izuku, Mina. You act like I didn't know about your past. Like, I thought you were this holy woman like Ibra and her chastity. I knew who you were. And I still asked you out. Mina, how? How can it not bother you? Mina asked, wanting to know the answer that's been eating at her since Izuku walked up to her in front of everybody and asked her on a date. Mina was, of course, shocked by the boldness of the green-haired boy but quickly accepted, thinking that it was just his way of wanting section. How wrong she was. They didn't even kiss. They held hands and had a normal date. Izuku even walked her back to her dorm room. It was such a basic date. But she treasured it. She treasured it so much that last night before doing this, she watched the same movie they watched on their first date. Izuku shrugged as he gave Mina his answer. Izuku, apart from the fact that I don't care? Because you having a body count doesn't matter. It doesn't change the amazing woman that you are. The woman that makes me smile when I wake up and feel you on top of me, even when you should be in your room. Mina, Izuku. I'm damaged goods. Mina said again, looking in another direction, but her tone was softer, the words coming out of her mouth sounding less convincing. She was used by other people, sure. That was just a fact. A fact that Izuku knew when he asked her out and still kept going out with her, even when his friend group, apart from Shoto Todoroki, told him that it was a bad idea. Izuku looked at his girlfriend and kept explaining why it didn't bother him how many people had had her. Izuku, no. Because you are not an item. Your virginity isn't this grand spectacle. It isn't this important thing that defines how much you are worth. It's just an event. Mina, it's easy for you to say. You're still a virgin. You can give me that precious thing. I don't even remember my first time because I was so drunk. Mina yelled harshly, feeling angry at the world but mostly at herself. They haven't had section. Even after 2 years they haven't done it. Izuku never once pushed her for it, and Mina wasn't ready to give that to Izuku, since she was scared. Terrified that she had nothing to offer to Izuku, she wasn't special. She had nothing special left to give to the boy he loves, since she already gave it to so many, most of whom Mina can't even remember their names. Izuku shrugged as he spoke, not seeing that as a problem. Izuku, true. I can't be your first. But I can be your last. We could be each other's last person to have SEC with. I might not have your physical virginity. But you can give me the one of your heart. Mina, that is so FNG corny and stupid. Mina said as she gave a wet chuckle at the end of her sentence. It was a stupid way of looking at it. The virginity of your heart. That concept that she has read in a magazine wasn't real. But even with knowing that, Mina's heart skipped a beat hearing Izuku say it. His tone was so sincere that it made Mina want to live a lie and believe that she could in fact give Izuku something. Izuku just smiled, seeing Mina smiling again. It was such a wonderful thing to see. Izuku kept talking, showing Mina how he saw SEC, and how it made Mina wish she could have told those same words to her younger self. Izuku, I know. But it got another smile out of you. You had section. That's just a fact. But there's a difference between having SEC and making love. Sharing everything you are with somebody else in the most NTMT way of the human experience. You can give me that. And bonus, it's not a one-time thing. You can give it to me as many times as you want. Mina, I just don't feel like I'm worthy, Izuku. Mina whispered softly. How was she supposed to feel worthy when all people see and talk about, when it's her who is the topic of discussion, is how much of a slut she was? Mina swears that even their professors liked it once or twice when she walked past them. It was Izuku's turn to laugh as she looked at Mina with an "Are you serious?" look on her face. Izuku. If you say that you don't know what I'm feeling again, I will jump over there. Mina, PFFF, right. I'm talking to Mr. I have an amazing power, but everything I question is, am I good enough? Mina said in a mocking tone that made both of them start to laugh. Izuku had a point. He was the dictionary description of self-esteem issues. All thanks to Bakugo Katsuki and that old school the two of them used to go to. This was definitely something Izuku could relate with her on. Izuku gave a slow nod as he stopped laughing and kept talking, giving Mina another reality check. Izuku, yup. You've been with me every time I felt like that. So it's unfair that the one time you felt like that, you decided to push me away as hard as possible. Thankfully you have such noodle arms. Mina, hey. Mina said and puffed out her cheeks, looking like a squirrel who was hiding her nuts for winter. Izuku laughed again at her reaction, but it was the truth. Her arms always seemed to turn weak whenever she held on to him, and there was a part of Izuku that liked how SBMSSV she got, but that's not important right now. What was giving Mina the truth? He wants to be with her. That should be all that matters. Izuku, Mina, you're not with somebody because you are worthy of that person. That's not love. That's a toxic dependency. You are with them because you love them. Because you want to be with them. I want to be with you. And I know you feel the same. Mina, how can you want that after you've seen what I've done to this ruined body of mine? Mina said in a soft tone as she slowly dropped her legs from her chest and just breathed the cold air of winter. Mina wanted so much to hear these words. To hear them and believe that they were the truth because they were, and Mina knew it. But just because she knew they were true didn't mean that she could believe them. Izuku took a deep breath and spoke again, talking more about other things he loved about his girlfriend. A girlfriend that he knew would no longer be an ex-girlfriend. Izuku, because I don't see it as ruined. Not even cracked. Experienced, maybe. But when I have it in my arms, when do I feel your warmth? When can I feel you giggling in the crook of my neck? All I see and feel is the beautiful girl I'm in love with. The girl who I would rather die with than live without. The choice is yours. Mina. Mina slowly stood up and walked to Izuku. Her legs were trembling, which quickly turned into her whole body trembling with shame, with fear, with guilt over what she was so close to doing. She sat down in front of Izuku and then jumped into his chest. Izuku hugged her tightly as he felt Mina wrap her arms around his neck and her head on his chest, silently crying. Izuku kissed the top of her head and took a breath of relief that she chose him over the Reaper. Izuku, never scare me like that again. Mina, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Mina said over and over again, that the words were caught in her throat by a big painful lump. This wasn't the end. Far from it. There was still the matter of getting as much of those things offline as possible, suing the people responsible, therapy to deal with Mina's self-image and other issues, cutting people from their lives, etc. So much work ahead for the couple. But with her future wife in his arms, Izuku knew he would do it all. He would walk through hell barefooted and feel the fire of the sinners if it meant that at the other side there was Mina waiting for him with a genuine smile on her face. Izuku, shit. It's okay. We'll get through this. Together. I promise, I'm not going anywhere. Later. After staying up there for an hour, Izuku left Mina with his mom, so that she could keep an eye out on her. We see him walking into the dorms of his class, and instantly he got hit by a verbal punch from Ida for breaking the door entrance when he left to save Mina. Izuku's ears were ringing as he saw Ida talk and talk, but all Izuku's could hear was the ringing, getting louder, fist becoming into a tighter punch, and next thing he can tell his fist was bloodied and people were screaming at him. Ochako, Deku, get off of him. Shiro, dude, what the F is the matter with you? Shiro asked with a furious tone, as he wrapped his tape around him tightly. Izuku looked in front of him at the shattered floor that now had a hole in it, and Ida inside that hole, his face unrecognizable with how much Izuku beat him up. He could hear a pin drop when without any effort he broke the tape of Shiro and look at him, making the man flinch and take a step back, with his fists up ready for a fight. Izuku then looked back at Ida, and the group of people who were around him. It was his friend group. His former friend group. Izuku, let me make this perfectly clear for all of you. Izuku said as he activated his powers at 100% and slammed his fist to the wall, breaking them down, with green electricity coursing around his body, but still no reaction to his face. This wasn't anger. This was fury. This was a deep fury that came from the depth of hell. A fury that they brought upon themselves for being responsible for him almost losing his girlfriend. He was making his line in the sand and daring anybody to cross it. Izuku, Mina is my girlfriend and I love her. I love her more than anything. So to hear that people in this very class, people who are supposed to be her friends, talk behind her back about those leaks? Leaks that, need I remind you all of you were disgusted by the people who leaked it, and then I find out that you all were talking badly about Mina behind her FING back? Well, I didn't like that. Izuku said calmly as he walked forward, his electricity disappearing, thanks to Aizawa, but Izuku didn't care. He'll still fight them all until his knuckles are raw, for what they did. For what their actions almost costed him. He looked at his teacher, and the look that Izuku had right now even made somebody like Aizawa hesitate. Izuku looked at Ida, who was still coughing up blood and teeth to the ground, and lifted him up by the collar of his shirt, and then looked at the class. Izuku, no. I didn't like that at all. From this point onwards, that changes. If I hear one of you talk behind her back about this again, this will be you. If I hear anybody from class be talking about this will you them. If I hear a FNG civilian talking about it, I will not save them. Ochako, Deku. We didn't mean. Ochako said as she walked forwards to calm him down, to try and explain the situation. Okay, yeah, they were talking about it, but it's not like Mina wouldn't have done the same if it was somebody else that this happened to. The problem Ochako was missing was the fact that Mina's boyfriend was Izuku Midoriya, the strongest member of this class. Before Ochako could continue, she fell on the floor with a large weight on top of her. Izuku threw Ida's body to Ochako, making her fall. Izuku started to walk away with people giving him space. Izuku stopped and looked up at Aizawa and said one thing that made him turn off his own power. Izuku, I'm sure Namuri Kiyama must be so proud that you talked about a student in this way, right? Aizawa-sensei? Shota. Shota had nothing to say. Even if he were to drag Izuku away, he would find a way to escape his grasp and leave the school, so forcing him to do a punishment for attacking a fellow student wouldn't do much in this state. Izuku turned around and looked at the group of fake heroes, and he laid out the law for all of them. Izuku, consider our friendship over. If you come near me, I'll beat you up. If you come near Mina, I'll send you to the hospital. If I hear even a FING word about you talking about her again, I will make hell itself fear my arrival for anybody stupid enough to test me. Later. Mina, you did what? Izuku, they were. Mina tried to say that they were their friends, but Izuku won't have it. Izuku was in his mom's house with Mina. He brought her some ice cream and some Predator Alien movies they could watch together. But as soon as Mina saw the blood on Izuku's hands and shirt, she made Izuku tell her what he did. Izuku didn't even feel a hint of regret for his actions. Consequences be damned, if it meant that Mina will be safer now. Izuku, not anymore. Not when they could say such things about you. I would rather be with you than them any day of the week. Mina, God, I'm such a mess. I don't deserve you. Mina said with a sigh as she leaned her head in Izuku's shoulder as they kept watching the newest Predator Alien movie. She was eating the Napoleon ice cream from the tub, with a spoon as they both were covered by a big blanket. Izuku moved his head to the side a little and kissed her forehead, feeling Mina humming under her, and he doesn't even has to look down to know there was a smile on her face. Izuku, yes you do. So, I was thinking, there's only a few weeks till we graduate. How about after that we go on that vacation you wanted? Mina, Hawaii? Mina asked in surprised. She always wanted to go to Hawaii for a vacation, but she never did since Mr. Hero next to her has a fear of flying. To be specific, he had no problem flying himself. He had a problem flying in a death trap made by the devil himself, aka an airplane. But Mina clearly needed something to look forward to, and something to take her mind away from all of this. Izuku, Hawaii. Mina, I love you. Mina said softly as she got comfortable, feeling a warmness on her chest and a feeling on her brain. A feeling that told her she was ready. She was ready to give herself to Izuku, and as stupid as it may sound to her, she was ready to give the virginity of her heart to Izuku. For him to be the last person she is ever with. There wasn't a doubt in her mind that she loved him. Izuku hummed. Izuku, and I love you too. Even if your alien selection is god-awful. Mina, PFF. Accepted honey. Xenomorph franchise has more misses than hits. And you only like it because the Xenomorph queen has a fat butt on her. Mina said with a teasing grin that made Izuku laugh, but not denying it, he pulled her closer to him and rubbed her arm in support. Their life was going to be a mess, a stressful mess. But they'll have each other. Izuku will have Mina. So he is ready for the lawsuit from Ida for the attack if it comes to that. Mina was still terrified of the court cases that were to come, to make Nito and Mineta pay for leaking those videos, all because even Mina had some standards and refused both of them while she was in a relationship with Izuku. She knew Nito had money, and that it'll be her word against their. But she'll have Izuku by her side. So that made her feel better, it made her feel more confident in that she could do it. Author note, I've gotten some requests to continue this one-shot in some way, so I decided to do this. Give some snippets of Izuku and Mina's relationship before the one-shot happened. I might do a volume 2, I might not. Who knows? I was supposed to publish this next Friday. But honestly I'm bored, so I'm doing it now, so enjoy the longest chapter one have ever. Warning, if you see any grammatical errors, this is 10,000 words and I've got dyslexia, so I'm gonna need you to get all the way off my back about it. The hair incident. It was deep into the night in the dorms of UA University. We see a pair of students doing something naughty. They were out of their dorm rooms with a plastic bag that had tools for what they'll be doing tonight. Those two being, of course, Mina Ishido and Ejiro Kirishima. Kirishima looked at his best friend with a frown. Not only were they risking a lot, sneaking out of their room when they've got a new patch of security robots, courtesy of Mei Hatsum, but Ida was in charge of that patch of robots, so if any one of them caught them, they would be in major trouble. Kirishima, I'm telling you, it can't be done. Mina, I'm not looking for excuses. Is it risky? Is there a chance we can fail? Highly. But I'm doing this. So either you are with me, or you are going to do the unmanly thing and walk away. Mina said firmly as she gave a look to her best friend, with her hand extended for him to give her the plastic bag. Kirishima's eyes widened, and he quickly opened the door and pushed Mina inside with him following behind her. As they both heard one of the robots rolling on his patrol, they saw the bright red light coming through the cracks of the door and saw it slowly disappear. Both of them took a breath of relief and continued to talk in a hushed tone. Kirishima, you son of a beach. I'm in. Mina, good. Zuzu should be asleep by now. Let's go. Mina said with an evil smile on her face. This mission was to get her boyfriend a nice plate of revenge. In the eyes of Mina, at least. Both of them smelled something weird and were frankly disgusted. They turned around to see something horrifying. Yuga Aoyama got his monthly shipment of cheese. But that's a fight they'll deal with another day. They had their main mission to finish, and they couldn't waste time with a side plot. They slowly walked out of the room of the boy who loves cheese yet is lactose intolerant and kept moving to their target when Kirishima realized something. Midoribro was one of the people who kept his door with lock and key. Kirishima, wait. How are we going to get inside his room? Mina, dude, I'm his girlfriend. He gave me a key to his room, just like I gave him one for mine. Not that it matters, because he never uses it, Mina said bitterly as she kept walking, muttering things to herself. Since what's the point of him having that key if he never takes advantage of it? He needs to use it. The whole point she asked to swap keys was for him to catch her in the middle of getting dressed. And did he ever do that? She has seen him in the middle of getting dressed multiple times, but he never once caught her. Was it too much to ask for her boyfriend to have a desire to see her without clothes? Kirishima, hearing what Mina was muttering, gave her a raised eyebrow. Kirishima, sounds like this is less of a prank and more of your petty anger showing. Mina, I have no idea what you're talking about. Besides, is it so horrible that I want my boyfriend to come to my room unannounced to surprise me? Mina asked with her cheeks puffing in anger. He does do that in the most adorable ways, like having an indoor picnic or watching movies or playing Sonic Riders on his PC, or whenever Mina had a bad day and needed some snuggle time, or having a study date, but all of that doesn't count, so it's not even worth thinking about. Kirishima gave his friend a blank look, since he wasn't buying that bullshit for a second. Kirishima, when your boyfriend is Izuku Midoriya? That boy would have a heart attack if he walked in on you changing. Mina, I fail to see how that would be a bad thing. I mean, we've been together for so long now. I mean, he should be confident enough by now to walk in on me or take a shower with me. I would love it if he took a shower with me. Forfus. Sake, he has seen me in my most embarrassing moments and still smiled at me. Mina whined in that way that wasn't really whining. Since one of the moments in question, Mina wanted an extra spicy makeout session, so she wore something extra special and extra lacy. The problem? Mina forgot it was her time of the month, so that white turned red down there pretty fast. And what did Izuku do? Did he laugh like Uchida in her old school? Did he say, it, and keep going like Kondo? He comforted Mina when she started to cry over being so forgetful and bought her chocolate and a box of tampons without shame. A move that made an arrow hit Mina in the heart, but still, all of that. He saw all of that. And yet he was still the same. Kirishima sighed with a shake of his head and was thankful to the bro god in the sky that he made him gay. Because he could not handle a girl like Mina for more than one night of exploration. Kirishima. My god, you sound more like the dude of the relationship than anything else. Mina, and I will not apologize. Now shut up, we're here. Mina said with her evil smile returning as in front of her was the room of her boyfriend, Izuku Midoriya. Her current boyfriend. Though calling her previous partners boyfriends was laughable, they were all just hookups that didn't last more than a week till they got bored of her or Mina got bored of them. Izuku? He was her first real, genuine, romantic relationship. So that meant there were some wires that were connected wrong, since Mina equated being forceful and pushing what makes a partner comfortable as showing her that they were interested in her. But this is a snippet, so we can't get too deep into that. Mina opened the door, and both of them walked inside to see the target sleeping on his bed. That's when Kirishima noticed something on his nightstand. Kirishima? Huh? Mina, Mina shushed Kirishima, scared that her boyfriend would wake up before they could implement her revenge. Kirishima ignored the girl and walked to the nightstand, grabbing the bottle of medicine that was next to a framed picture of Izuku and Mina in Tokyo Disneyland, both of them wearing Mickey ears, of course. Kirishima looked at the bottle and then looked at Mina, wondering if she knew that her boyfriend was having problems so bad that he needed pills to fix them. Kirishima, we can talk. The boy is knocked the F out. Did you know he takes those melatonin gummies? Mina, he has trouble sleeping sometimes. But that's good. That means we can do this without fear of him waking up. Mina said with a dismissive tone, since she didn't want to get into that conversation, and also she didn't want people to know that her boyfriend was struggling with some deep nightmares because of the war they won. Not for anything negative, God no. She wished she could tell people so maybe Izuku could get the help he needs, but Izuku made her promise to keep this a secret. So she did. Kirishima nodded his head as he let the pills to the side and dumped the items of the plastic bag into the bed. It was time to get to work. Morning. Izuku was yawning as he walked down the stairs of the dorms, feeling a little grumpy since Mina didn't come into his bed last night. Sure, he can ask her to stop doing it, but he thought it was understood that he never really meant it, He liked having her in his bed, where he could hug her and sleep with her. But it was nothing that some coffee mixed with white monster energy couldn't fix. He made it to the shared area of the dorms and walked out of the stairs. Izuku looked confused, since the sound of people talking just stopped when he walked into view. Izuku didn't pay much attention to it, as he walked to his little friend group. Izuku, morning, guys. Ochako, Deku? White out your hair. Ochako, she said in shock, seeing how her friend walked into the common room with his hair in such a state. Izuku looked confused as he ran his hand through his hair with a confused expression. So he didn't have his morning shower yet, so his hair might be a little greasy, but that's no reason to have this reaction, to have everybody stay quiet about it. Izuku? Huh? What about it? Do I have bedhead or something? Ida, Midoriya. This is completely unacceptable. The school rulebook has clear rules about this. You should be ashamed of yourself. Ida said loudly, as he started to move his hands in a robotic motion. It made Izuku's eyes go to the back of his head for a second. He likes Ida. Really? He does. He is one of his closest friends, but it was too DMN early for him to be yelling and already on somebody's case about the smallest infraction that only Ida cares about. Izuku really needs some coffee, or his girlfriend to be here so she could suffer with him, seeing the blood vessel on the forehead of Ida grow more and more. Izuku? Huh? What are you guys talking about? Tsuyu, your hair is pink, Izuku, Karo. Tsuyu said in her usual blunt tone as Izuku's eyes quickly widened. Izuku walked to the closest mirror and looked at himself, giving a small yell in surprise at his hair color. How was this possible? Did he unlock a new power from OFA? Before Izuku could go down a rabbit hole, he was taken off guard by somebody kissing his cheek, a punch to his arm, and then blinded by a bright white light. When his vision returned to him, he saw Mina there having a giggling fit as she published to her social media page a picture of the two of them with the same color of hair. Izuku. Mina. Mina, eep. Mina yelped as her phone slipped by surprise, but she quickly caught it and then made a run for it, laughing her butt off, since she knew that if Izuku captured her, she would get the scolding of a lifetime. Not that she minded all that much, since she loved seeing Izuku being assertive like that. But still, she also enjoyed the chase, since, like Nizu would say about himself, I'm a messy beach like that. Truly words to live by. She activated her powers to make the ground under her slippery so she could slide faster to freedom as she heard Izuku yelling behind her, no doubt also using his powers to increase his speed. Izuku, get back here. Ida, both of you stop. There's no running in the dorm rooms. Ida said as he chased after them to give both of them a scolding over the numerous rules they had broken. Now Mina was really running, since it was hot when Izuku scolded her like the bad girl she was. It was a pain when Ida scolded her as if he had any control over her life. The rest of Class A looked at the three classmates running out of the doors, and slowly they started going back to what they were doing. Ochako looked at Tsuyu with a raised eyebrow. Ochako. Should we tell him that he is also breaking his own rule? Tsuyu. Do you want him to have another nervous breakdown like when he thought he forgot daylight saving? Tsuyu asked as they all heard Izuku scream, full cowling, and then Mina's laugh getting louder. Nobody needed to see to know what happened. Izuku was protecting his girlfriend again and left the school altogether with Mina in his arms like a princess. Ergo, Ida was now a ticking time bomb that Ochako really didn't want to deal with. So she didn't. Ochako. Shoto. I wonder if I would look good with pink and white hair. Shoto thought to himself as he played with the red part of his hair. The only reason why he was considering this was because Izuku had pink hair, and he wanted them to match. The poor socially awkward guy who clearly has autism but is not diagnosed because Japan sees stuff like that as a sickness and a form of weakness, though he was making a mental note to ask Mina how to dye his hair. The YouTube channel. We see Mina and Izuku in Izuku's room. They were enjoying their 3-day weekend since Aizawa got too drunk to give class, so they got the day off, and they were in the middle of a small argument. Argument is a strong word. It was mostly Mina begging, trying to convince Izuku to take pity on his poor little girlfriend and do this one favor for her. The girl was literally on her knees in front of Izuku, who was standing. If somebody were to walk into Izuku's room, they would absolutely get the wrong picture. It also didn't help that Mina was hugging Izuku's leg. "Mina, please, Dekuri. Please, 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 please. I'm begging on my knees here. Izuku, a position I'm sure you are used to. But back to this. I don't know, Mina. You know this isn't exactly my forte," Izuku said with a sigh, rubbing the back of his head with his eyes closed. He completely missed the look of shock from Mina over what he said and then the giant grin of pride that her boyfriend was able to make that joke without stuttering. She really was turning him to the dark side and she loved it. She shook her head and decided to save that for a later date. For now this was more important. She needed Izuku to give in to her. Give in to her lips and her hands, and give his body for her to use as she pleases. Mina, and that's exactly why. You need to expand your horizons. Please, my little bunny? For me? Izuku, Mina. Izuku said with a groan that again, if somebody like, say, Mineta were listening through the wall since his dorm room was next to Izuku's, if he had heard Izuku grunting Mina's name with such a tone, he would instantly get the wrong idea. But back to our couple. Izuku really didn't want to do this, but he made the mistake of looking down and saw Mina giving him her trademarked puppy-eyed stare with quivering lips and all. She even had one single crocodile tear rolling down her cheek. Mina sniffled as she continued to lay it on thick for her boyfriend, as she started to softly hit the leg she was holding while talking in a very fake cracked tone. Mina, and. You did promise me. If I got an A on the exam, you would do what I wanted. Izuku, to be fair, I thought it meant snuggling in the morning while missing first PRD. Izuku said with another groan as he thought on the situation he was in. He did promise her that. But come on. It was Mina. What were the chances that she could actually get a 100% on a math test? It did make Izuku a little miffed since it meant that Mina could have gotten grades like that all the time. She just hasn't been applying herself, something that they will be having a discussion about later. But for now? He gave a sigh of defeat, knowing that he was a man of his word, so he gave a shaky nod of confirmation to Mina, who returned to grinning like a madwoman. Mina, oh, we will be doing that, but before that, I want us to do this. Later. Mina, hey everybody. I have a super special surprise for you all today. I want you all to meet my boyfriend, Izuku. Mina said in a hyper voice of excitement. What was the thing that Mina wanted? Apparently she had a semi-successful makeup YouTube channel, and she wanted Izuku to make an appearance in one of her videos for it. Izuku felt his heart race in nervousness as he gave a nervous smile and waved to the camera, with a blush on his cheeks and a trembling hand to the camera. Izuku, hi. Mina, isn't he cute? Especially when he is all nervous and blushing? I could just eat him up. Anyways, today we will be doing the boyfriend makeup challenge. Mina said with a grin as she started to talk to the camera while taking out the makeup items she was going to use on Izuku's face. Izuku can only hope that nobody in their class is subscribed to Mina's makeup channel since if one of them saw it, everybody else was going to see it, and they would never let him live this down. He looked at Mina and saw the genuine excitement on Mina's face. It made his smile become softer, as seeing her so happy made this almost worth it. Izuku, the things I do for love. Now I know how courage the cowardly dog felt. With Shoto, we see him watching the live video of Mina putting on makeup on Izuku with a neutral expression on his phone, with only one thing on his mind. Shoto, Izuku would look better with blue makeup. Parties. Saturday night. Saturday night for Izuku used to mean staying in his room and watching anime or going to eBay for the bidding wars for All Might merchandise. That was before he got a girlfriend like Mina. Now his Saturday day and night were for her. It was their date day, as if they don't go on dates on different days already, but Mina has made it clear that Saturday was for her and him alone, to spend it together. And what was on the roster this Saturday night? Going to a club that Mina has gone to so many times when she was single that the bartender knows her by name and knows her favorite drink by heart. Mina, isn't this place great? Izuku, it certainly is loud. Izuku said as he took a sip of his alcohol that he couldn't tell you the name of it if he tried. It was something fruity and very high in alcohol count that Mina ordered for him. Weren't they a little young to drink alcohol when the age of drinking was 20 and they were 19? Did that stop them? Not when Mina knew a guy that did fake driver licenses that told the bartender they were both. Mina just grinned, finishing her drink in one go, completely used to the burning sensation, and heard the dancing music start. Mina, I know. That's what makes it great. Come on. Let's dance. Izuku. Sure. Izuku said, trying to finish the alcohol in one go like Mina, but that was a mistake, as swallowing it all caused him a coughing fit, which in turn made Mina start to laugh at him. Her boyfriend was so cute when he tried to act cool and suave. She slapped his back to help with the coughing, but once he stopped, she grabbed his wrists and pulled him to the dance floor, showing why Mina was the dancing queen and why Izuku only knew choreography when it came to fighting. But they were both having fun. They danced to the dubstep music until the music ended, so like 20 minutes of straight dancing while being buzzed with alcohol in their system. They were all waiting for the reason why they were all here. Mina's favorite band was supposed to sing here today, but instead of the band, came a man who looked like he was in his 40s. Announcer, sorry to say this, ladies and gentlemen, but the singer who was supposed to be here called in sick. Don't suppose there's a singer in the audience. Izuku, oh no. She has that look in her eyes. Izuku thought with a chill up his spine, seeing the expression on Mina's face turn from booing with the rest of the crowd to slowly starting to grin, since she came up with an idea. An idea that Izuku knows what it's going to be, and he is going to hate it. He can admit that Mina has a point and that he needs to try out new things, but here and now was not the time for that, so he tried to stop it before it happened. Izuku, Mina, please. My boyfriend can sing better than the rest, Mina said at the top of her lungs with a huge grin. This was the perfect opportunity to help with Izuku and his self-confidence issues. What better way than to make him sing to a crowd? And plus, he really did have just the most amazing singing voice. Of course Mina was being biased. Izuku started to panic, but he calmed down, since there's no way the owner of this place would allow a total nobody to sing when the crowd was already in a foul mood, so Izuku was. Announcer, that's what I like to hear. Come on up here. Izuku, Mina. I can't sing to an audience. I don't even know any songs. Izuku said in a panic that he couldn't sing, not here at least. They were in a borderline villain bar. If he sang the wrong song he would get his butt kicked, and Izuku doesn't think that singing Eminem songs will save him, since yes, those are about the only songs he knows by heart since Little Midoriya was a stan. Mina, for her part, stayed confident in the abilities of her boyfriend. Since he wasn't being truthful, there was a song that he knew. A song that he sang to her on a very special occasion. Mina, yes you do. That song you sang for me on my birthday. Izuku, I can't sing that here. Izuku yelled, his panic getting worse. Since there is no way he can sing that, he would 100% get attacked if he sang that love song over here, with an audience that was expecting a death metal performance. Izuku really didn't want a bar fight to happen. Mina, who was letting the alcohol do the talking, did not care. The first boyfriend she ever had sang her that song for her birthday, and now she wanted to hear it again. Mina, come on everybody. Izuku, Izuku, Izuku. Crowd, Izuku, 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 Izuku. The crowd started to cheer, with the only difference was that whenever Mina said, Izuku, she would playfully hit his shoulder, as if it were a drum, and Izuku felt a real sense of wanting to pee himself in fear over what's going to happen if he sings that song on stage. He was half tempted to sing Rap God. It would be cringe, sure, but it would save him more than singing that other song. But the kiss on the lips of encouragement from Mina made him sigh loudly and look up at the ceiling as he dragged his feet to the stage. Izuku. I hate you so much right now. I'm going to need a guitar. Mina, yay. I love you too, Izuku. Mina said in a happy tone as she grabbed his wrist and dragged him to the stage. Once there, she jumped off the stage and got a first-row place to watch her boyfriend practically serenade her in front of all these people. Izuku, seeing the excitement in Mina's eyes, sighed, resigned to his fate. Also, it doesn't help that she called him by his first name, since every other time in their relationship, including when they were just distant friends, she would call him by a pet name. So to hear her say his first name showed him how much she wanted this. Once he received a guitar, he started to sing. https://ut.be6 gasks 2 GUIWM SI1 Regu 97 CDWUVC Bursu. Izuku, so this is what it's like. To not need we to get me high. I love it when you hold me when you cry. Just because. Just because. Be my Valentine. I want to make Cupid suicidal. These are the kind of thoughts that cross my mind. Just because. Just because. Izuku started to sing and the song was good. That was not the problem. The problem was that this was not the scene for this type of song. Since again, the audience was here for some death metal, not a soft-spoken ballad song, but Izuku wasn't singing for them. He looked down, seeing the smile on the face of Mina, and he continued even when he knew he was in danger. Izuku, I love you so, so much. I love you so, so much. Darling, I would love to ease your mind. But you only open up when you get high. If I had the money, I would buy us time. Just to get by. Just to stay high. Later. Izuku, God, that was the worst. Izuku, he said with a groan as he nursed his black eye with a bag of ice. Safe to say people did not like the song, and it caused a bar fight. Now was it because Mina threw the first punch at the first person to react negatively to Izuku, and then Izuku had to jump in, smashing the guitar on the head of the guy who was going to attack Mina by surprise from behind? Who could say? What they could say was that the two of them were currently at a McDonald's, where Izuku was nursing the black eye he had with his cup of cold soda with extra ice. Mina, for her part, was smiling brightly with a missing tooth. Mina, that was the best. You were so adorable. Izuku, somebody threw a shoe at me. Izuku said with a whine, since that was definitely what started the fight. Not Mina throwing the punch, but somebody hating the song so much that they took off one of their own shoes and threw it at Izuku. Either way, both Izuku and Mina were banned from returning to that bar. It was a miracle that Mina took him out the back, since a few seconds longer and they would have been caught by the superheroes who were called by the disturbance, and then they really would have been in trouble. Mina, for her part, just giggled, since for her this date night was a blast. Mina, I know. That was so funny. But that didn't stop you, did it? Nope. You sang my song till the end. Izuku, of course I did. You wanted to hear it. I can deal with people booing me as long as you are smiling. Izuku said with a crooked smile as he saw what Mina was doing. He rolled his eyes in a loving way and gave his fries to his girlfriend. Mina giggled and ate happily. It was really fun, and plus, she now has a new, better memory of that place. What was the old memory? It involved Siro, Sato, and a closet. You can use your imagination with that combination to figure out what it's referring to. So, she had way more fun with Izuku than with that one pump chump Siro. And Mr. I don't eat out, Sato. Apparently Mina's cake wasn't sweet enough for him. With that innuendo out of the way. Hearing that made her coo at him, feeling her cheeks get flushed with a slight purple. Mina, aw, Midori. Izuku, but you're buying me a drink. Lots and lots of drinks. Izuku said with a chuckle, since he knew Mina well enough to know that they were going to more than one bar tonight, since the night was still so young and so were they. Mina just grinned and playfully kicked Izuku under the table, causing her boyfriend to snicker at how immature she was being. Mina, PFFF. My little musician. Hitting. Mina was a physical person. Always has been. She loved to touch things, she loved to feel things, and she loved to express her love in the physical form. That being by hugging her friends, kissing her boyfriend, or punching him softly, like when a cat gives you a love bite when you're not giving them enough attention. Right now, Izuku wasn't giving Mina enough attention, as he was busy talking to Ochako. Mina walked up to them, ignoring the boy who wanted to talk to her about having some fun. He was so generic that Mina didn't even remember his face the second she stopped looking at him. She surprised her boyfriend by hugging him from behind, rubbing her cheek with his own. Mina, hey Zuziku. Izuku, hey Mina. How did you do on the test? Izuku asked as he turned his face slightly to look at her. He completely missed the slight frown on Ochako's face. They were in the middle of having a conversation, and then Mina decided to completely change that and make it about her. It was annoying and quite frankly rude. She couldn't wait 5 minutes for them to be done? Mina, for her part, also didn't notice the look Ochako was giving, as she smiled proudly at her boyfriend. Mina, I'm happy to say that I know I got a good grade. Thanks for being my study buddy. You're so much better than Bakugo. Izuku, hee. Thanks. Izuku said as Mina broke from the hug so that Izuku could give her some praise by patting her head, and then she did it. She did the thing that has been annoying Ochako for months now. She punched Izuku. Not a hard punch, not a punch with malice, but it was still a punch. It was still intended to hurt a person, and the fact that Mina saw nothing wrong with it spoke volumes about her character. Ochako, can you stop that? Mina, stop what? Mina asked, confused as she looked at her friend with a smile, but she was still confused. Since in her mind she did nothing wrong. She just gave Izuku one of her love taps. She does it all the time, and he doesn't seem to mind. In fact, he plays into it. It's good for him. The boy was so nervous about initiating physical contact, so Mina was just getting him used to doing it. Ochako didn't see it that way as she spoke again with some annoyance. Ochako, hitting him. You shouldn't be hitting him. Mina, first of all girl. I'm not hitting him hard. They're more like love taps. Secondly, this is really not any concern of yours. Mina said as her smile was turning into a frown, and her hands went to her hips, looking at this girl who thought she could tell Mina how to act with her boyfriend. If she wants to show her love through a soft little punch, then who is Ochako to tell her she can't? Izuku didn't mind it, so that should be the end of the conversation. But apparently not for Ochako, as she spoke with a sharp tone that was not hiding her annoyance and slight anger at Mina. Ochako, he's my friend, so I would say that it is. He's got enough bruises already. You don't need to add to it. Mina, I'm not adding to it, since I'm just play punching. What's your problem? Mina asked, confused, feeling like this came out of nowhere. She was just being affectionate with her boyfriend, and Ochako just freaked out on her without reason. Ochako, for her part, did have a reason. Even if it's a reason that's buried, and she would never admit it out loud, she did have a reason. She didn't like that Mina was with Izuku. He was too good for a girl who has had SEC with every guy in Class A and Class B, including Shoto, Bakugo, and Ida. You know, 3 of Izuku's closest male friends, and Mina still thought it was appropriate for her to date Izuku, who was a virgin, without anybody having a problem with it. But again, she wouldn't admit to that being the reason, so Ochako said something else. Ochako, my problem is that you are taking advantage of the fact that Izuku can't say no to you. So you get away with everything. Mina, oh, I get it. You're just mad because you're not in a relationship. I get it. Nobody would want to be with a broke girl anyways. Mina said with a happy smile as it became bigger, hearing Ochako give out a sharp breath from the comeback of Mina. If Ochako was going to act like a beach, then Mina could go down to her level and win without trouble. Since Mina wasn't going to just stand here and take these insults to a girl who clearly still had feelings for Izuku but never acted on them, and now was making that her problem. Ochako glared at Mina for saying such a thing and walked closer to her. Ochako, what did you just say to me? Mina, the truth? What? You were just being helpful with the truth, right? So I'm returning the favor. Mina said with a fake giggle, looking at the girl who couldn't accept that she lost in front of her. Izuku chose to date her. Did Mina know why? In fact, she thought that Izuku just wanted SEC like everybody else. But when she slowly realized that he wanted a regular relationship with her, Mina jumped at the opportunity, and she doesn't regret it for a second. So somebody, like Ochako, had a problem with that, she could take it up with Mina's fists. Izuku, seeing that there was a crowd accumulating, tried to calm the tension in the room. Izuku, girls. Let's take a breath here and… Mina, Ochako, stay out of this, Deku baby. Sends her favorite movies you should look at. Mina was impulsive. That was a fact of life. Once she wanted to do something, she did it and didn't care about the consequences or how that would affect other people. Case in point, we heard her running and opening the door of Izuku with such force that it made an echo. Izuku jumped, and his phone flew in the air. Izuku stumbled to grab it but failed, and it fell on the ground hard. Thankfully the phone had a case protector and a screen protector too, so it was fine. Izuku grabbed the phone while Mina walked up to him with that smile that Izuku knew so well. Mina, Izuku. You're not busy, right? Izuku, I'm doing some homework. You better be more careful, love. If Ida catches you running in the hall, you'll have to deal with his verbal scolding. Izuku said with a chuckle as he saw that his phone was fine and tossed it without a care back to his desk, since his girlfriend was here, and she clearly wanted something from him, so it was girlfriend time, not phone time. Mina, seeing that as a green light to do her plan, closed the door behind her and looked at Izuku with her usual happy smile, as she was practically vibrating with excitement. Mina, great. So you're free. Izuku, Mina. Did you do your homework yet? Because I'm not letting you copy off of me again. Izuku said with an amused sigh as he sat on his bed, letting his girlfriend take control of the room, in which she went to his mini fridge and started to take some snacks out, sort of ignoring what Izuku said, since it was a lie. It was one of the many privileges of being a girlfriend to one of the kids who is part of the top 5 smartest kids in their class. She gets to copy his work, and better yet, she gets to make him look it over and add a few wrong answers on purpose so that Aizawa doesn't suspect a thing. In truth, he already knows, they just don't pay him enough to care. Mina turned her head to her boyfriend and grinned. Mina, wow. Taka was right. I am corrupting you. You shouldn't lie, honey. It's unbecoming of you. Izuku, I mean it this time. Izuku said it louder with a huff, and then he averted his gaze, showing that even he didn't believe the words that came out of his mouth. He knew he would cave and let Mina copy his work. It's not like it was all that important for being a hero to know when WW2 happened. Japan did nothing wrong, they were just minding their own business until America decided to drop the sun on them, totally unprovoked. The nerve of them. Mina gave a dismissive tone as she walked to her man and kissed his cheek for being so cute. Mina, and I believe you. But anyways, you have to watch this movie. It's one of my favorites, you just have to so that we can talk about it. Izuku, it's another alien movie, isn't it? Izuku said with a chuckle, wondering if it's going to be an old movie or if some new alien movie came out that he hasn't heard about. Izuku received a playful punch on the shoulder for guessing wrong as she organized the snacks on Izuku's bed and showed the DVD box set she just got off Amazon, with her eyes shining like diamonds. She wanted them to have a movie date right now. Mina, shows what you know, Buster Baxter. This has no aliens whatsoever. In fact, it's a 100% quirkless movie. Izuku, really? What's it about? Izuku said as he grabbed the box set and looked at the name on it. The Hunger Games. Izuku shrugged at the name, he certainly had never heard of it before. But Mina seemed excited to share this fandom with her boyfriend, so he was more than ready to give this movie a chance. Mina smiled and gave Izuku a taste of his own medicine and started to ramble like he does when talking about his hero obsession. Mina, oh, it's based on these books called The Hunger Games. My dad got me the books when I was a little girl, and I've loved the trilogy ever since. Izuku, sure. I'll watch it with you. Izuku said as he stood up from the bed and put the first disc on his vintage DVD player, being about the only one who had one in this school technically. Since it was that rare Panasonic GameCube hybrid. He handed the control to Mina, who was more than excited to start the movie. Some time passed watching one of the best female protagonists in literary fiction, anime excluded, and the author will fight anybody on that. Mina and Izuku were enjoying the movie till somebody opened the door of Izuku's room with force. Mina frowned, annoyed. Since it was cute when she did it, it was annoying when somebody else did it, especially since it made her jump out of her skin. Ida, Midoriya. I have come here to remind you of our study session with the rest of the friend group. Mina, but the movie. Mina complained. Now yes, they could hit pause and watch it later. The real problem was that she was comfortable sitting on Izuku's lap as they watched the film and didn't want to get off of him unless it was absolutely necessary. A study session did not meet those qualifications. Ida was not convinced by Mina's terrific argument, so he doubled down on his argument. Ida, a movie comes secondary to our education, Ashido. I will not have the academic grade of my friend fall to your level. Mina, hey, I'm rising up the ranks. Mina said in an angry tone to the man that sometimes, just like the DC character, the Flash is just too fast where it counts, according to the Birds of Prey. Seriously, Mina didn't even enjoy it, because Ida was more concentrated on being fast than on finding a good rhythm with her. Worst 3 minutes of her life. Izuku frowned a bit hearing Ida say that, since he knew that her grades were a sore subject for Mina, since she was trying her best, it's just that she got distracted easily. So without a moment of hesitation, Izuku picked Mina's side. Izuku, sorry Ida. But I'm going to spend time with Mina. I promise I'll study twice as long in our next session. Ida, 5 times as long. Ida said firmly with his arms crossed that he couldn't believe that Izuku would much rather spend time with his girlfriend than with education. What could be better than the love of knowledge? It makes Ida excited in ways that he would deny. That's how much he loved knowledge. Izuku sighed and went to the end, since he didn't want to have this argument. Izuku, 3 times and I'll buy you another fidget spinner. Ida, sold. Ida said he was about to say no, but the mention of a new fidget spinner was what convinced him. He loved those things, and they always helped his brain calm down a little to assess the situation. Ida closed the door behind him and left. Izuku grabbed the controller and hit play on the movie again. Izuku was so concentrated on the movie that he missed the flash of guilt on Mina's face. Normally she wouldn't care about things like this as long as she got her way, and she did. But the fact that Izuku was sacrificing his study time and spending time with his friends to be with her made her feel conflicted. Mina, sorry. Forgot that today was your study session. Izuku, it's alright. This movie is important to you, so it's important to me. Besides, what could be better than spending time with you? Izuku asked with a smile that just found a way to melt the insecurities that Mina was feeling like nothing else. She cuddled closer to her boyfriend with a content expression on her face. There was this sensation she was feeling, one that she knew like an old friend. A friend that hasn't been fulfilled for a long time apart from plastic toys. But alongside that old friend came a new one. A small one, but it was there. Fear that Izuku would deny her. Fear that he wouldn't be interested in her in that way. So she just ignored that old friend and kept things as they were. Mina, Zuzu, you'll make me blush purple talking like that. Comfort over death. Mina was an emotional girl. She wore her heart on her sleeve, which meant that she loved easily. But it also meant that she felt heartache easily. And right now, she was feeling just that, over the death of somebody important to her. Of course Izuku was there, hugging and comforting her as she softly wept on his chest. Izuku, shoo, it's okay. It's okay. Mina, I just can't believe he's gone. He meant so much to me. Mina said softly, not being able to accept the death of one of her heroes. She's only seen him from afar, and yet he was one of her favorites. Izuku kept rubbing her back and nodded, since he completely understood what she was feeling. He would feel the same way if somebody like All Might had died. Of course that was before Izuku found out the type of relationship Toshinori had with Izuku's mom, but that's not important right now. What is comforting Mina. Izuku, at least he died doing what he loved. At the end of the day, that's all we can really ask for, right? Mina, still can't believe I never realized that Joe died at the end of Ashita no Joe. I also can't believe you read the manga. It's such an old piece of art. Mina said as she was, of course, talking about an anime. What else would she be talking about? If you thought anything else, then that's on you, laughing face. Mina was the type of person who got so invested in the characters of a show or a video game she loved that she legitimately felt upset whenever they died. It's why she can't play any game with a permadeath system. She is not strong enough for that. Izuku nodded as he kept the conversation going, since Mina seemed to be getting better. Izuku, I'm surprised you read it too. And I don't know. I guess I just like that type of story. No real superpowers, no real villains. Just a man with a drive and a dream. It always inspired me not to give up. Mina, and here I thought that it was All Might who did that. Mina said with a bit of a teasing grin as she looked up and saw the blush on Izuku's face for a second before she giggled over what Izuku did. Izuku covered Mina's eyes with his hand and pushed her a little away, embarrassed that she was using the love he had for the #1 hero in the first year at his face. And I said, had, past tense. But when you catch your #1 hero giving the 100% United States of Smash to your mother, that love disappears very quickly. Why did they have to do it in the living room? Izuku will never know. But he can't deny that Toshinori was a large part of his motivation growing up. Izuku. He was a small part that inspired me, and All Might was the majority of it. Anyhow, feeling better? To continue our marathon? Mina, your turn to pick. What are we going to watch? Mina said with a happy smile as she handed the controller to Izuku. Izuku took it and started to look up a specific anime that Tsuyu recommended to him, about a princess and a commoner or something along those lines. Izuku doesn't remember every detail, since at the time Mina was teasing him by rubbing his thigh under the table. Izuku, Tsuyu recommended this anime to me. It's called Watashi no Ashi wa Higareju. Mina was an otaku. That was just a fact. While Izuku had an unhealthy obsession with superheroes, Mina had an unhealthy obsession with anime, to the point that her room back at her parents' home has as many mecha robot models as Izuku has hero action figures. But that also meant that there was an event that she loved to go to every time it came around. An event that she'll make her boyfriend love as well. We see Izuku in the living room talking to Shoto. Nodding along with Shoto as he was talking about the history of cold soba. That's when he felt somebody wrapping her arms around his neck and planting a kiss on his cheek. Mina, Zukomical. Get ready. Because today is the day. Izuku, HM? Yeah. Should be fun. Izuku said with a calm smile on his face as he prepared himself. Mina jumped over the sofa and sat down on the lap of Izuku as if it was no big deal. Which it wasn't, not for anybody around except for Ochako for obvious reasons and Ida for even more obvious reasons. Shoto, wanting to know where Mina was taking his emotional support buddy, spoke to her. Shoto, what are you two doing today? Mina, we are going to an anime convention. I already got our costumes ready. Mina said with excitement as she swung her legs around over how excited she was. She grinned at the boy with red and white hair, who Mina doesn't really have any complaints. He was pretty good in the bedroom, all things considered. The issue was that he didn't have any passion for it, which Mina respected, so she broke it off with him after the third time they had some fun late into the night. All of this, of course, being long before she and Izuku were a couple. Mina heard another voice join the conversation. Hagakure, how cute. What are you going as? Mina, easy. We are going as the best romantic pairing there ever was. The couple that was robbed by the author caving to the fans. We are going as Naruto and Sakura. Mina said with her fist extended into the air, as she spoke with the girl who made Mina realize that she can enjoy a female figure, but when it came down to doing it, she was definitely straight when it came to her SXL preference. Izuku hummed as he wrapped his arms around the waist of Mina and pulled her close to him, leaning his head on her shoulder, causing the girl to feel a warmness on her chest. Yeah, she was definitely straight. Izuku, you still have no proof about that. I'll admit it was rushed, but you can't know that the author caved into the demands of the fans. Mina, but you agree with me, right? Mina asked with a grin as she started to grind herself where she was sitting and got the physical confirmation that yes, Izuku definitely agreed with her too. Then Mina's smile became a bit more forced as that feeling returned again, that small pain in her chest, when she did this kind of stuff to Izuku. She doesn't understand it. She has done it with plenty of people. So why did it feel so scary when it was Izuku who was the one involved? She was taken out of her thoughts when she jumped a little, with her smile returning to genuine, feeling Izuku kiss her neck and offer a small grin back. Izuku, yes. Of course I agree with you. Mina, great. Then let's go get changed. Later. More of the students of Class A and even some from Class B were in the living room now. It was a Saturday, so they were all spending some time together, since Monoma was visiting his parents, so there was nobody instigating shit and causing trouble with the classes. That's when the elevator doors opened and they saw Mina running out of it, dressed as Naruto Uzumaki, with even a blonde wig that looked like his hair. Mina, believe it. Siro, wait. If you're cosplaying as Naruto, that means... Siro started to say, and they all heard the doors of the stairs opening. Izuku never used the elevator, mostly for training, partly because it's important to constantly walk to keep the heart pumping in a healthy manner, and a little bit because Mina made him watch the Final Destination movies and that Night Shyamalan Devil Elevator movie. But he walked out without shame wearing a cosplay of Sakura Haruno, the Shippuden edition. His hair still pink since Mina asked him to keep it a bit longer, and Izuku saw no problem with that. Izuku looked at himself and then at Mina. Izuku, okay. I'm ready. Thank God Shippuden Sakura is flat-chested, Or this would be really awkward. Bakugo, ha ha ha. Bakugo started to laugh at what Izuku was wearing, and so did a few other classmates, but Izuku didn't care. He has literally been through way worse. Mina grabbed Izuku's hand and smiled brightly at him as she started walking with him, following right behind her. Let them laugh. Last she checked, Izuku was the only boy here with a girlfriend. Mina, ignore him. He's being in but. You look amazing, my Izukura. 7.5 Nail art. Ochako, Izuku. Why are your nails pink? Ochako asked what everybody in the study group was thinking. Izuku came in late, as it was now customary for him to do, since they all knew that Mina loved long, drawn-out goodbyes with him. But when he sat down and placed his things on the table, they saw his nails. They were all painted with different colored nail polish, each one having a different style of art in them. Izuku shrugged and answered without shame. Izuku, Mina wanted my help for her YouTube channel again, and I said yes. So, what did I miss? Karaoke bar. Mina loved music. That was a fact of life. She loved listening to music, but more than that, she loved to sing her music. Whether it be in the shower, while she is training or exercising, or when Izuku is sleeping on her chest and she feels compelled to sing him to sleep. Mina loved to sing. Which is why for this particular date, Mina took Izuku to a karaoke business. Safe to say, Izuku wasn't really feeling it, given what happened the last time he sang. Izuku, really? After the last time you made me sing? Mina, it'll be fine. This time it's just you and me. Nobody else. I'm your only audience. Mina said with a happy smile as she walked inside, hugging Izuku's arm as they once again used their fake ID to get the adult selection of drinks. AKA they were going to sing and get drunk, like God intended when he created karaoke. We see the two of them in their private room as Izuku sighed as he sat down on the couch. Izuku, why do I let you drag me to these things? Mina, because you love me? Mina asked with that usual grin she has whenever she teases Izuku. Izuku chuckled softly at that response and nodded, since it was the truth. He did love Mina. He really did. Which reminded him that he needed to have a conversation with his mom later on to discuss getting something from her. Izuku, I do. I do love you. Fun. I guess this will be fun. Mina, yeah. This is going to be so much fun. When was the last time you went? I remember going with a few friends of mine, like last summer, I think. Mina said, with a shrug, her memory being a little hazy about that night since she might have taken some pills that, while they did make the night fun, also made it hard to remember it. She just remembered being sore after and having to buy the Plan B pill the next morning. Izuku thought about when the last time he went into a place like this was, and for the life of him, he couldn't recall coming to a place like this even once. Izuku, never been to one of these. Never had anybody to go with. Mina gasps. Well, that changes now. Come on, pick one. Mina said with her usual excitement as she gave the tablet to Izuku. The idea of having that night be repeated tonight did come into Mina's mind when her hand grazed Izuku's hand when she passed the tablet to him. But when it did, Mina felt like she would have a mini panic attack over it. The feeling was getting worse, and Mina didn't know what to do about it. She didn't even know why she was having them in the first place. But those thoughts were interrupted when she heard the music start. https UWEMBD3UWN9V SIT3APV2 Izuku, I sing for you. Bakamitai. Kodomo na no eniyum wa at kazutsuite. Uso ga hata na qs and I warianai igeo misita. Izuku started to sing along to the words on the screen while Mina just giggled. That feeling of shame, of disgust, of being unworthy, just seemed to disappear when she saw Izuku sing and have a good time. It also made her giggle since she knows Izuku picked that song on purpose since she is a huge fan of Sega's Yakuza franchise and has a massive crush on Kiryu Kazuma. Izuku smiled hearing the giggle of his girlfriend and kept singing. Izuku, I love you imo roku and I iwanai. Kuchi beta de hanma and I bukiyu. Na no and I daushite. Sayonara wa ida no. Dame ding, dame yo, dame na no yo. Antajie suki de suki sujite. Dor dake tsuyo osaki demo. Yugamanai omoi j bakamitai. Izuku was about to sing the next verse when he was taken off guard. But did Mina plant a kiss by surprise? Did she touch him inappropriately somewhere? She threw her shoe at him. Not hard, obviously, but she still did it. It took Izuku a second to realize what happened. When his brain came back to him, safe to say he was miffed. Izuku, did you throw a shoe at me? Mina, PFFF. Sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Mina fell to the couch laughing over what she did. It was a spur-of-the-moment type of deal. She wanted to repeat the day she got this fake front tooth on her mouth and saw it as the perfect moment. Izuku, for his part, huffed and then smirked, since he knew how to deal with his girlfriend when she gets like this. Izuku, I'll show you, sorry. Come over here. Mina, no, wait. Mina yelped, scared over what was coming, but she was too slow to stop it. Izuku got on top of her and started to tickle her without mercy, causing the girl to laugh uncontrollably and to squirm under him, trying to break free and stop Izuku on his crusade of vengeance. Mina, PFFF haha. Zuzu, stop please. Izuku, sorry. But it's going to take more than an I'm sorry to make me stop. Izuku said with a grin as his face got closer to Mina's face and they kissed. Mina wrapped her arms around Izuku's neck, and Izuku put his hand under Mina's armpits as they made out, slipping each other's tongues into the mouth of the other. Normally Mina would have been more than happy with the way things played out, but that feeling returned at full force, to the point that she felt genuine pain in her chest. Not wanting to worry Izuku, she flipped them around, sitting on top of his chest, with a fake confident look in her eyes. Mina, as fun as that was. Didn't we come here to sing? Mina said with a wink as she half expected Izuku to take her by force and show that he wanted her more than their date like Jiroda Shishida who gave her carpet burn, since the man did it with his powers activated. But instead, Izuku sat back up straight with a smile, handing the tablet to Mina and giving her a small peck on the cheeks, before giving the most innocent smile he could. Izuku, you're right. So sing. I promise I won't throw my own shoe at you. Mina, cute. But we both know you are too nice to do that, baby cakes. Mina said with a giggle as the pain in her chest disappeared and was replaced by a warmness when she heard Izuku chuckle and wrap his arm around her shoulder, giving her a shoulder hug and pulling her close, to where Mina always felt safe. His chest. Her home. Izuku, true. You certainly have me hypnotized, my alien queen. So, what are you gonna sing? Later. HTTPS. You did up EVH7VQV. SIUJSBY_VEX 7 ways. Mina, kiss me, hold me, that feeling is holy. Nobody's loved me like you. Oh, life moves too fast to get stuck in the past. But I do. Mina sang with all her heart, looking with Izuku with a smitten smile, since every word she sang was the truth. Nobody has ever loved her like he has. Nobody has been as patient, as willing, as committed to her as Izuku. And what did she have to offer back to him? The fact that she couldn't think of anything did not spark joy into her heart, so she just kept singing. Mina, think I take more than I give. Kinda sheet, but it's how I live. Be stuck till my conscience has outgrown me. I'm dumb enough to do the math. As life comes, life will pass. So I try not to get attached. Mina sang, as she was starting to regret picking this song out of all the random songs they were to pick, since she felt like this song explained exactly how she felt about dating Izuku, about her contributions to their relationship, and it started to scare her a little. Hell will fear his arrival. It was the very next day since the incident. Izuku didn't want to go back to school. His grades were good enough, he could pass without having to keep going. Unfortunately, Mina couldn't do that, so as much as she hated it, she had to go back. So of course Izuku came back with her. Classes have been tense. Starting from Izuku making Mina sit on his lap for the whole class and almost daring anybody to say something about it, Aizawa included. Going up to anybody who tried to get close to Mina, making Izuku glare at them so hatefully that they could see green electricity flashing inside his eyes. Which brings us to now. It was lunchtime, and Izuku left for the bathroom. Apparently that was code for all the girls to come and talk to her. An action that Mina wasn't going to accept, so she walked away from the situation. Momo, Mina. Mina, hey, wait up. Mina, I have nothing to say to any of you. Leave me alone. Mina said coldly, as she kept walking as fast as she could away from the group of girls from her class. Of course that didn't work, since while she was walking, the rest were running, and they caught up to her really quickly, surrounding Mina and stopping her from leaving. Something that annoyed Mina greatly. What? They got to say all that vile crap about her and now get to decide that Mina also doesn't get some personal space? Mina glanced around until one of them decided to speak. Akagure, girl please. We just want to apologize. Mina, because you got caught, not because you said those things. I'm telling you again, just leave me alone. Mina said firmly as she tried to walk away, but they all blocked her path. It seemed that Mina wouldn't get to leave until everybody said their piece. Wonderful. Terrific, since Mina and her feelings on the matter, right? All that mattered was that they got to clear their conscience. Mina turned her head to the next person who decided to talk. A girl who called Mina and me, and I quote, a ball-gargling groupie. Who loves salty ball? Kyoka took a step forward with the same guilty look on her face that everybody else had as she spoke. Kyoka, Mina. Please, we really are sorry. We don't know what came over us. Mina, and that makes it okay? That means that I have to accept your shitty apologies because of, you didn't know what came over me bullshit. Mina screamed, getting so angry that tears were threatening to escape her eyes from anger, since let's just forget that all these girls were supposed to be her friends and said those things. They were her friends, so that meant that Mina had to absolutely forgive them the next day, no questions asked, right? Kyoka, feeling frustrated and feeling like Mina was putting words in her mouth, so no matter what she chooses she ends up being the a-hole, screamed right back. Kyoka, no. That's not what we're saying. But like, come on. You're not even giving us a chance to apologize. Mina, because I don't want to hear it. I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you to stand here and accept a shitty apology when the only reason you're acting like this is because you're scared of my boyfriend. A boyfriend that I will call if you don't. Alone. Mina said, poking her freshly done nail on Kyoka's chest with every punctuation. She didn't even feel pathetic for needing her boyfriend to fight her battles, as long as it meant that these snakes would leave her be already. They made it clear how much Mina's friendship meant to them by doing the same thing as strangers that didn't know her. So why shouldn't Mina treat them like strangers when that's exactly how they treated her when they said those things? Tsuyu, being as blunt as she usually is, spoke next. Tsuyu, then how can we make this up to you? Mina, there is nothing to make up. There is no fixing this. Call me what you want. Slot that still smells like cum, like how Ochako called me. But I would have never done that to any of you. Mina was so angry that she started to laugh and run her fingers through her hair as she looked at the green-haired girl who said, Mina knows how to use her tongue better than mine, and now thought she had the moral high ground to ask Mina how to fix something they broke. Like it was Mina's job to help them when all of this was their fault in the first place. The situation then went from bad to worse, all thanks to one voice. One very annoying, pumpkin spice la-loving, Taylor's Swift-level basic but voice. Ochako. Bullshit. Mina, excuse me? Does the broke girl have something to say? Mina asked with a sharp smile, looking at the one girl that Mina is 100% sure is not apologetic in the slightest. She is just here to get an apology as a collective, since she knows she wouldn't get one any other way. Mina didn't owe an ounce of respect to a girl who, 2 years in, still couldn't get over the fact that Izuku, by some fantastic miracle, loved pink more than he loved brown. Ochako, for her part, took a step forward and crossed her arms as she spoke in an annoyed tone that Mina was on this self-pity high horse over some admittedly harsh words. Ochako, yeah, bullshit. You wouldn't have talked behind our backs? The gossip queen wouldn't have been acting the same way we've been acting? Izuku, no. She wouldn't. Izuku said, scaring all of them out of their skin except for Mina, who felt her heart feel a warmness that everything was going to be okay now. She looked and saw Izuku with the one other person who never fell into the trap of saying anything negative to her, Shoto Todoroki. Izuku walked forward with a neutral expression and then looked slightly up at the taller Momo for her to move out of the way. Momo, for her part, felt very uncomfortable right now, as she tried to explain the situation. Momo, Midoriya. Izuku, I thought I made it clear yesterday that all of you needed to stay away from my girlfriend. What? Did you think that just because you were girls I wouldn't attack you? Now move. Izuku said. For a second his hand was made into a punch, and green electricity circled around his body. Izuku activated it for a second as a threat, and it worked, as both Kyoka and Momo moved out of the way to let Izuku walk past them. Izuku walked past the people who were now marked for death and made it to his girlfriend, cupping her cheeks in his hands and looking at her face to make sure that she was okay. While he was doing this, Kyoka made the mistake of interrupting Izuku's inspections. Kyoka, Midoriya. Dude. We were just trying. Izuku, I'm sorry. Did I give you the impression that I care what you guys were trying to do? Then shut the F up before I use my powers to clap my hands so hard it causes a shockwave that will explode your eardrums. Izuku said with a growl in his tone, as he didn't even give Kyoka the dignity to look at her as she threatened her. His eyes were busy doing something much more important. That was looking at the eyes of Mina and making sure that they weren't dull like they were yesterday on that roof. Mina, now that Izuku was here, just wanted to leave with him, since the girls weren't worth the trouble it would bring. Mina, Zuzu. Let's just go. Izuku. Shut up. Izuku said simply, as he broke eye contact with Mina to look at his friend. A friend that, once he heard his name being called, didn't hesitate and walked inside the circle, pumping his shoulder to whoever blocked his path. In this case it was Hagakure and Tsuyu. Of course Shoto didn't care. His best friend called for him, and Shoto was going to be there for him, no matter what. Now the girls were getting even more nervous, as now not only did they have the threat of the strongest in their class being angry but also his best friend, a powerhouse in his own right, and a man whose loyalty for the green-haired boy cannot be broken. Shoto, yes, Midoriya? Izuku, take Mina to Recovery Girl. Tell her to come since there are students who are going to be in critical condition. Izuku said in a calm tone as his threat was left clear and concise in the air. Izuku was going to attack them. Even if they ran, Izuku would capture them and attack them. Nobody was going to escape. These 5 girls were going to be his second warning to the class. They'll show the rest of the class, the whole school, that Izuku wasn't bluffing in his threat. You come near Mina? You will end up in the hospital. Shoto nodded as he grabbed Mina's hand to guide her away, Shoto being one of the few who was allowed to do that. Shoto, yes, Midoriya. Mina, Zu. Mina said, trying to convince Izuku to let this go. But Izuku instead grabbed her cheeks and gave the girl a deep kiss on the lips, taking her by surprise, but she leaned into the kiss and kissed back. All the while Shoto just stood there, without any reaction, as he had Mina's hand in his own. Izuku let go of the kiss and connected his forehead with Izuku's forehead as he spoke in a hushed tone. Izuku, you need to know your worth. You need to know how much worth I see in you. And they need to learn what's going to happen the next time they disobey. My simple instructions. Mina, okay. I love you. Mina said with a soft smile, tears falling down her cheeks for entirely different reasons. Mina left with Shoto making 2 walls of ice to force the girls to move and for the 2 of them to leave. Izuku didn't move. His eyes were covered by his hair as he punched the ice and crushed it when the girls tried to follow Mina. What scared them more was the fact that Izuku did that without his powers and could see the blood coming down his knuckles. Izuku then glanced at them, making them all take a step back in fear. Tsuyu, Midoriya. We don't want any trouble. We just wanted to correct our mistake. Ochako, Deku, please. We weren't in the wrong here. Ochako screamed at him in a fit of fear and desperation, but Izuku wasn't having any of it. He took a step forward, and then electricity coursed around his body, as this wasn't a threat anymore. It was a promise. A promise of pain, of bloodshed, of all of them gaining a new fear for him, so they never do something like this again. Izuku looked at his first friend since he made it to this school. A friend he never thought he would have to say goodbye to. But after what she pulled? Izuku wasn't going to make the same mistake he made with Bakugo. Izuku, let's make something clear first. It's Midoriya. Not Izuku, not Deku. Midoriya. And you weren't in the wrong? She asked you to leave her alone. And instead you kept pushing her buttons because Mina and her boundaries, right? Ochako, that's not it at all. We just wanted her to. Ochako tried to say something and then stopped as fear consumed her. Izuku used his power to increase his speed and be face-to-face with Ochako. The other girls saw the crater Izuku's foot caused by doing that, and they came to the understanding, beware of a patient man's wrath. Izuku looked at the dead woman in front of him and spoke with a calmness that just scared them, since it just meant that he wouldn't be regretting his actions after this. Izuku, I don't need you to repeat it. Shoto already kept me informed. A slot that still smells like cum. You called her that. And you think that an I'm sorry will fix things? Ochako, we messed up. I get it. We all get it. But you are going overboard with this. Ochako said, standing her ground, and then made the mistake of putting her hands on Izuku. Just his shoulders, trying to calm him down from doing this. Overboard. Izuku glanced around and saw that the rest of the girls were more or less in agreement with Ochako. Overboard. He almost lost the woman that he loves, and they think he is going overboard? Mina nearly died, not because of the words of the media or the words of other students. Mina had too much confidence in herself for that. She almost killed herself because even the people who were supposed to be her friends were also saying that vile crap, and hearing it from them hurt more than they could possibly imagine. Izuku, so what? You have no idea what almost happened yesterday. What the words of you all almost cost her and me. And what? Because I asked her out instead of you? Ochako. Ochako looked not only shocked but also hurt by his words. She wanted to deny it, to pretend like she didn't hear Izuku confess that all this time he knew of her feelings for him. Since it went against her mental beliefs that Izuku only asked Mina out because he didn't know that Ochako was interested in him. But apparently that was a mistake. Seeing the hurt in the eyes of Ochako, Izuku couldn't help but chuckle. A sarcastic, arrogant, mocking type of chuckle. Izuku, I'm not that FNG stupid. I knew your feelings for me the day I asked Mina out on that first date. Neko, then why? Ochako started to say, but the words were lost in her throat as she felt a lump on it, overhearing this. All this time, Izuku knew her feelings for him. He even knew that she liked him the day he asked Mina out, and he still did it. He could have asked Ochako out, and she would have said yes. They could have had a beautiful relationship where both were each other's first, like how she was Izuku's first friend in this school. And yet, when the chips were down, Izuku picked to take a chance on Mina. But why couldn't it be her? Izuku, not feeling like he owed an explanation to Ochako, decides to just lie and hit Ochako where it hurts. Izuku, like Mina says. Why would I date a broke girl? One that can't even be loyal enough to stand by her friend? Momo, Midoriya. This has nothing to do with Ochako's feelings for you or because of your threat. We are apologizing because from the bottom of our hearts we are sorry. Momo said, bringing Izuku's attention to the rest of the girls. Izuku closed his eyes and took a step away from Ochako. The electricity was becoming bigger, faster, and more painful to the touch. It was even burning a bit of Izuku's own skin, but he did not care. He turned his head and looked at Momo, the woman trying to get Izuku to see reason. By then, Izuku only saw white. That ringing in his ears is becoming louder, like how it happened with Ida. Before Izuku lost all his senses like that day, he just said one thing. Izuku, then let's play a game. After you all wake up from the coma, I'll apologize, and then you tell me if you accept my apologies even though I don't mean a DMN word of it. Right. Izuku, all right. Thank you. Izuku said as he hung up the phone and took a deep breath. They were supposed to be in Hawaii to have a break from the mess that is waiting for them back in Japan. Yet it had a way of finding them. Not like Izuku could do anything about it, nor does he regret his actions that day in the school or having to spend the weekend under house arrest. It was worth every second of it. Izuku felt somebody hugging his neck from behind and melting away his stress just by being near. Mina, who was that? Izuku, my lawyers. They came to a settlement. Gave them a large sum of money to lie and say that the hallway attack was a villain attack. Izuku said with a shrug. The money wasn't a problem for him, he was the world hero. One of the rewards from that was getting money as compensation from every world government for killing those 2 terrorists with Kathleen bait before they became more of a threat. The amount that was agreed upon certainly made a dent in his pockets, But he still has a nice nest egg saved up, and being the now public successor of the #1 hero of Japan meant that that dent would get refilled in no time. Plus, whatever else he was overthinking, he felt Mina rubbing her head on his back, bringing him back to reality. Mina, oh, I get that broke girl took the offer, but Yaoyorozu? Izuku, probably because she felt like it was the right thing to do. Not like I care. This vacation is about us having a good time. Izuku said with a soft smile as he stopped thinking of that, and now that the lawyers reached a settlement, Izuku finally put his phone on Do Not Disturb so he could finally stop stressing about the Hero Association being on his butt to fix this mess, since it would look bad for them if the person who'll become the next #1 goes to court over assault. Izuku does owe Shoto a big one for getting him in touch with his family's team of lawyers and paying for them. Using Endeavor's credit card to pay for it, but still the intention was there. Mina stopped hugging her boyfriend and walked in front of him with a smile. Happy that now she could have all his attention. Mina, right? I know how we can have a whole lot of fun. Let's go swimming. Izuku, sure. Sounds like a good time and… Mina. Izuku said, grabbing Mina's wrist before she left the protection of the shadows and went into the sun. They were both on the private beach of the hotel, and Mina almost left the shadows without proper protection. Mina whined a little, as she knew what her boyfriend was going to say, but she really didn't want to use that particular protection. So she gave her man a fake innocent smile, as if she didn't know what he wanted. Mina, what? Izuku, aren't you forgetting something? Izuku asked with an amused smile, since he knew what Mina was trying to do, but it will not work with him. The sun was far too bright. Given the bikini she was wearing, she would get burned, and then she would have to spend the rest of the vacation nursing her burned skin. Mina placed a finger on her chin as she continued to act like just the innocent little princess that she is. Mina, a pina colada? Izuku, baby. Sunscreen. Izuku said, taking a bottle out of his small canvas bag. Mina might be the fun one of the couple, but Izuku was the responsible one of the two. The one that makes sure that Mina's impulsiveness doesn't get her in trouble, like it so clearly is right now. Mina glanced inside the bag that Izuku brought to the beach, and there were another emergency pair of swim trunks and bikini for the two of them, sunscreen, beach towels, sunglasses, a sun umbrella, etc. He was such an adorable dork, and she loved it. But she was not putting that cream on her skin. Mina, but Zuzu. That has so many chemicals. Izuku, and your makeup doesn't? Izuku said and then flinched. He felt his heart racing in fear. He felt like the group of girls felt when Izuku followed through on his promise and clapped so hard that it burst Kyoka's eardrums. Because Mina grew a dark, evil aura that looked like an Oni behind her. Mina loved her boyfriend, but the thing he just said? If he didn't love him, she would have given him such a long lecture about the difference between the cheap stuff that broke girl gets in the local pharmacy and what Mina buys for herself. Mina, gasp. How could you even say that? All my makeup are 100% natural, animal cruelty-free cosmetics. That bottle in your hands, on the other hand? It was tested on rabbits. I'm not putting it on. How can I be dating a little green bunny rabbit and then use something that was tested on another bunny rabbit? Izuku, bold of you to assume that I don't know you? It's got chemicals, sure. But it is also animal cruelty-free. So, think you can compromise with me? Izuku said with a chuckle as he turned the bottle to the ingredients for Mina to see, and she did indeed see that little image that said, cruelty-free. She squinted her eyes at her boyfriend, who was grinning at her. She sighed and sat down on the beach chair. She had lost this one. But that doesn't mean she's not going to be difficult about it. With her cheeks puffed up like she was a little squirrel with its mouth full of nuts for the winter, Mina crossed her arms as she spoke with a huff. Mina. But don't think you're going to get lucky. You are only applying it on my back. Izuku, too late for that. I'm here in Hawaii with you. I'm already lucky. Izuku said in his usual sincere tone that made Mina feel that warmness in her heart. It was such a corny throwaway line, but it worked on Mina like a charm. Her eyes started to blink rapidly, and she started to feel her nose getting runny as her breathing became a little ragged. She was being ridiculous. She knew she was. Izuku just complimented her. Something he always did, but after that event on the roof? Mina can finally fully accept Izuku's words as more than just him being naive. His words were real, they were genuine, and they were for her. Mina spoke with a strained tone, as tears fell from her face. Mina, God, you're so corny. And I love it. What is wrong with me that I love it? That something like that makes me want to cry? This is your fault. You made me soft. Izuku, I take full responsibility. So if you need to cry, I'll pay the price and let you cry on my chest. Izuku said with a chuckle as he gave a little kiss to the back of Mina's neck before he started to apply the sunscreen on Mina's back. He ended up applying it all over Mina's body, and Mina insisted that she do the same to Izuku. He was going to reject such a generous offer, but Mina snatched the bottle from his hands and did just that. Though Mina had more fun, giving Izuku's body little kisses before applying the sunscreen. Once they were both ready, they walked into the sun. And then Mina ran into the ocean over the hot sand. Izuku laughed as he was safe. The responsible one. He was wearing sandals. Izuku made it to the ocean and jumped in with Mina. He put on his protective goggles, took a deep breath, and submerged himself down. Izuku looked at the bottom of the sea to look for any seashells until he felt somebody touch his back. He turned around, and what he saw took his breath away. Mina, inside the water with him, smiling so brightly, her eyes having that joy of life that they always had before the leaks, that made him fall for the pink girl. Mina swam to Izuku and kissed him, sharing a bit of her air. As she parted away from the kiss and both of them started to swim to the surface, Izuku saw Mina's back and smiled, happy over how lucky he was. Izuku, God. How did I ever get so lucky? Mina, God. How did I ever get so lucky? I have to make up for that scare that I gave him that day. Mina thought as she remembered how Izuku was looking at her just a few seconds ago, as if she was the most important thing in his life. As if she were this perfect figure for him to be with. His other half, made just for him. Ready, warning, lime snippet. Everybody is ready for something at different times. Some people are never ready, others make it so their fear blocks them from being ready, but Mina? She was ready. After 2 years of being afraid, she was ready to face that fear, since she knew Izuku would be waiting for her on the other side. Speaking of Izuku, we see him opening the door of the hotel and walking inside confused. It was the last day of their vacation, and they were supposed to go cave exploring like Izuku wanted. Izuku, Mina? I got your text. Where are you? I'm coming. Just stay there, I'm just finishing up over here. Izuku heard Mina's voice through the door of the bathroom and nodded. He sat down on the bed and turned on some TV, letting his inner child win, and turned on the cartoon channel where they were playing Tom and Jerry. With Mina. Hearing that Izuku was on the other side of that door waiting made Mina nervous, but it was an excited type of nervous, a type of nervous she hasn't felt in Diamond near 2 whole years. Well, that stops now. After taking a long shower to make sure she smelled as good as she possibly could, we see her now looking at herself in the mirror, and that little voice in her head talking to her. Mina, look at you. All used up, there isn't a single spot in your body that somebody else didn't already touch. Mina heard that voice say, but she ignored it as she added the finishing touches to herself before being ready to do this. She was looking at herself down there and started to bite her thumb a little, wondering if she had time to shave her little happy trail that had grown from lack of use. She shook her head at that idea, since there wasn't time for that, and besides, Izuku loves her just the way she is. That included having a little hair on her body. She believed it. Shame that that did nothing to stop how nerve-wracking this felt. Mina, wow, really? You thought that looked good on you? Yeah. I'm sure he'll totally be distracted by the fact that you are nothing more than a washed-up wear with green lingerie. The little voice said again, but Mina didn't care and didn't hesitate. She looked at her old friend in her hands and started to apply it on her lips. That being, of course, lipstick, the type of lipstick that smears. She was going to make sure that Izuku's chest, face, and third leg were covered in the traces of her lips. A reminder for him that this really happened as he washes himself the next day. Mina, yeah. Put more makeup on. I'm sure that'll hide how used up you really are. Mina, Izuku loves me. Izuku wants me. I love him. I want him. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Mina repeated to herself in the mirror as she gave a sharp nod and walked out of the bathroom. Mina opened the door and stepped out, feeling more embarrassed and worried that Izuku would recoil in disgust. Only to find Izuku's jaw was agape, eyes locked on her tight pink body. His hands clutching the blankets on the bed. His face was so red that if there was a tomato next to it, it would pale in comparison. It made Mina smile, feeling more confident as she walked closer to the boy and grabbed his chin, pulling his gaze up to eye level. Mina, hi. Izuku, he. Izuku said breathlessly, as he felt his face heat up, with a smile so big that he couldn't control it. It made Mina giggle softly at her boyfriend as, with her free hand, she grabbed the controller from the bed and turned off the television. As much as she loved Tom and Jerry, she wanted Izuku's attention on her and vice versa. This moment was for them to finally take that next step and to be united in the closest way that Mina could think about. Mina, you like it? Izuku, I love it. You look amazing. Izuku managed to say as he became even more nervous when Mina let go of his chin and took a few steps back, giving her body a spin so that Izuku could see her full body. The outfit she was wearing was see-through, so it didn't leave a lot to the imagination. Mina heard Izuku's breath get caught in her throat, making her feel even more confident in herself. She stopped spinning and looked down, seeing the biggest boost of confidence she could get right now. A standing ovation while Izuku was sitting. Mina, hee, I see that Mini Izuku agrees with you. Izuku, I should take my pants off, right? I should probably be doing that. Izuku said, muttering a little, more to himself than to Mina. Here she was in that amazing outfit, and Izuku was wearing basketball shorts and a typical Hawaiian t-shirt. Now Izuku would kill to be wearing something else, since it was made it to Hawaii and got lay right off the plane. Mina couldn't resist, and she giggled a little at her poor little boyfriend, looking so out of place right now. Mina, it would be weird if you didn't. Izuku said to himself as he stumbled to get off his buttoned shirt but managed to do that all on his own without ripping the shirt off. Next he took off his pants, and Mina saw Izuku's mini-me was the biggest she's ever seen. That would be Koji Koda and his 10-inch anaconda. But it was a nice and delicious-looking 6 inches that was all hers. While Izuku was busy arguing with himself about if he should take his boxers off or not, Mina's smile became a little smaller. Here he was, her man thinking only about her, and the first thing she does is to compare it with somebody else. She truly was aware. Mina, this is his first time. I wouldn't even be surprised if he had never even watched Pawn before. And his first time is going. Whatever Mina was thinking came to a sudden stop by a pair of soft lips on her own and a small bite of her lower lip, asking for permission to enter. Mina leaned in to kiss without resistance and opened her mouth for her very welcomed guest. The two of them walked backwards back to the couch and sat down, with Mina sitting on Izuku's lap with her arms around her neck and Izuku's hand around her waist. They refused to separate from each other until one of them ran out of air, this time being Mina, from being caught by surprise from the kiss. She gave a bashful grin to Izuku as she spoke in a teasing tone in her voice. Mina, excited to start already? Izuku, sorry, you just seem to be overthinking. Izuku said with a small chuckle that turned into a shuddering breath. When he felt Mina start to grind on his lap a little. Izuku was so thankful that he won that argument with himself and took off his boxers so he could feel his third leg in between Mina's soft and big pillows as she grinned at him. Mina, who wasn't so innocent, gave a small grin as she kept grinding her butt on Izuku's D-dash, having missed the feeling of having the real thing in between the gift that God had given her. Already she was getting a little wet from just doing this. She spoke in a soft tone to Izuku, speaking to him about a topic he is all too familiar with. Mina, I want this. I want you. But those voices at the back of my head keep telling me I have nothing left to offer you. Izuku, how about we show them that's completely wrong? That this body, this heart, this soul of yours? It's worth more than anything else you can give me. Izuku said in that genuine tone that made Mina's heart feel that warmness it always does, and for her to get misty-eyed again. The BSRD. Here she was trying to set a mood, and he was trying without even putting any effort into making her cry. The worst part was that it was working. She could feel Izuku rubbing his hand on her waist, not going down any lower than that just yet, telling Mina that he wanted her, not just her big butt, which made a few stray tears fall from her face. Mina, I'm trying to be CC, and here you are trying to make me cry, and it's working. Izuku, So, how do we do this? The only experience I have is from watching Pawn. Izuku admitted, showing Mina that her little bunny wasn't as innocent as she originally thought. It made Mina give out a small breath of relief as Izuku moved his hands from her waist to cupping her cheeks and cleaning the stray tears that fell from her beautiful face. Izuku didn't even have to say it. Mina could see it in his eyes. He thought she was beautiful. He thought she was special. He thought she was the one. She was going to make sure to make those thoughts into a reality. Mina, you have no idea how much of a weightlifter that is to me right now. Izuku, okay? Izuku said as Mina gently pushed him to lie down on the bed while she did all the work in the first round. Izuku would get what he wanted. He would get to explore a cave, a pink cave that has been waiting for an explorer for the last 2 years. It was going to be a long day for the couple, a day that was easily the best SEC Mina ever had. Maybe it was because her 2-year dry spell was broken, or maybe it was because for the first time she was doing it with love and not just lust. Mina didn't know. All she knew was that all the other times didn't feel like they counted anymore. Izuku was right. He really did take the virginity of her heart. At 21, a hero is somebody who does the right thing no matter what. Somebody who protects the weak and defends those who can't defend themselves from the villains. A hero is somebody people look up to with admiration, somebody you look up to and want to be like. Those were the 2 different definitions of being a hero that Izuku and Mina believed. In reality, it was more in the middle of the 2. Izuku will never agree with the deaths that he caused, but he can admit that the hero-killer stain had some good points about this society and the type of heroes it produced. Since Izuku himself can admit he has had to compromise for the greater good in ways that the hero-killer would see him as being a fake hero. But Izuku always had Mina there to help him make the compromise easier and make him see the bigger picture. Though today, neither really felt like compromising. Today, neither would deny it as they walked into their house, both covered with green mucus. Mina, God, that villain was absolutely disgusting. I hate mucus-based villains. Izuku, isn't your power mucus-based? Izuku said with a chuckle as he watched his girlfriend flinch and then turn around, hitting his chest with the same soft punches that she has been giving him since they started dating. Mina was already annoyed feeling mucus on her body and hero suit, and to have her boyfriend even try to compare her cool slime with this disgusting mucus? It's absolutely unforgivable. It was grounds for breaking up this entire romantic partnership that they have. Mina, I want to break up with you over what you said. Izuku, you could. But we have reservations at that fusion restaurant you wanted to try out, under my name. Do you really want to do that? Izuku said with a small grin as he saw how Mina's fists froze in real time. He snickered and walked past her, going to the kitchen and grabbing 2 cold hard seltzer bottles. Opening them both up and drinking one of them. He's not normally a drinker, that's more Mina's territory, but after a day like today, he needs one. It was certainly a blast from the past. That same sludge villain from the day that he met his future stepfather, Toshinori, came back trying to become an S-tier threat and failing miserably. Unfortunately, it fell all over Izuku, Mina, and the other heroes and public that were in the surrounding area. Izuku felt Mina take the other bottle of seltzer from his hand, finally back from her fake frozen act. Mina, fine. We'll have dinner, and then I'll break up with you. Izuku, sure. Want to hit the showers? Izuku said with a shrug. 5 years. They had a good run. But he can understand why Mina wants to break up after that insult that touched her to her core. Izuku snorted at himself as he finished the bottle and tossed it to the recycling can while he looked at Mina, who was in the middle of deciding if she should take a shower with him or not. What a hard choice to make for her, Izuku is sure. With a sigh, Mina made her choice. Mina, yes. But alone. I want to actually get cleaned, not more sweaty. Izuku, you act as if I'm the one who initiates it. Izuku said with a chuckle, seeing the soft purple blush of his girlfriend grow alongside that grin she has. TC was a constant part of their relationship ever since their trip to Hawaii. Mina was definitely not going to have another dry spell ever again. Even when they are old and gray, she will fill Izuku with Viagra if she has to. She wants that meat that fear has kept from her for 2 years. Mina looked at her little bunny rabbit and grabbed his chin, pulling him down slightly to her eye level. Mina, you're not. I just can't control myself. I love feeling you inside of me. I love having my little bottom bunny breathing heavily while biting my ear. Izuku, PFFF. I'll get the shower started. You there? Izuku said with a small laugh, since he can see where this is going. Mina managed to convince herself to replace the mucus with sweat, and who was he to not give his mistress what she wanted? Izuku may be the #1 hero, but in the bedroom? Mina was the one in charge. Later. You would think that being late for a reservation at a very exclusive restaurant would mean that they wouldn't get a sitting. And that would normally be true. Except for the cases where Izuku is the #1 hero in Japan and Mina is number 34 going on a date. They were given an exception, and whoever was on their table was kicked out. Did either care? Nope. We see the two of them at the end of their dinner, while Mina tells Izuku about the solo mission she did before the sludge villain incident. Mina, and then Kami slipped on my slime right into the sea. Izuku, PFFF. Ha. Oh, poor little thing. You have to be more careful about where you use that love. Izuku said with a snicker, picturing Kami, the fashion queen, in the sea with all her expensive makeup and jewelry ruined. It made a belly laugh escape his lips. Mina laughed right alongside him. Mina was an extrovert, that was just a fact of life. Which meant that she had no problem making brand new friends. Sure, it took some time because she got trust issues thanks to her old friends, but she had them now. Friends like Kami Utsushimi, Mei Hatsum, Melissa Shield, Marinette Todd, Angel Dust, etc. Mina stopped laughing and gave a charming and innocent smile to her boyfriend. Mina, I know. Long story short, I had to buy her some clothes to earn her forgiveness. So I guess that means you're paying. Izuku, when have you ever paid for a meal? Izuku said with a chuckle, teasing his princess of a girlfriend. Mina wasn't the only one who had new friends. Izuku, of course, had his brother in Everything But Blood, Shoto Todoroki. And I'll repeat, in Everything But Blood, Izuku doesn't care what Shoto may say in the interview. His conspiracy theory that they are somehow related is false. But also others like Shinso, and those he became friends with like Jason Todd, Michelangelo, or the gambling hero Husk, etc. Izuku glanced around and saw a few of those friends there in disguise, while Mina gave a fake insulted tone to her boyfriend. Mina, wow. You're telling me that those 3 a.m. tacos don't count? Izuku, seeing as they had us both fighting over who gets to use the toilet? They definitely don't count. Izuku said with a big grin, as Mina snickered, remembering that day. Since, okay, maybe having tacos that were being sold from the trunk of a car was a bad idea, but they tasted delicious when they ate them drunk. It just burned the rest of the way through. Mina adjusted herself in her seat as she finished her dessert. Mina, a-hole. God, I just got a phantom pain down there, remembering that night. Izuku, pffff. Izuku laughed as they had small talk while finishing what was left of their meal. Izuku was drumming his fingers on the table as a nervous tick, as he felt what he had hidden in the pocket of his jacket becoming heavier by the weight of it. With a deep breath, Izuku started, even if he was the #1 hero, that didn't stop the nervous tone from coming up in his voice over what he was about to do. He only has one shot. He can't mess this up. Izuku, Mina. How long have we been together now? Mina, for 5 years, I think. Mina said with a shrug, wondering why he decided to ask her that. Their anniversary wasn't till December 1st. Izuku gave a short nod as he put one hand in the pocket of his jacket and felt the thing that felt so heavy that he was not sure even with him using 100% of his powers, he would be able to pick it up. But he still had to try and ask another question. A question of a date. A date that was the moment their relationship truly changed and became something real for the both of them. Izuku, right? Remember that day on the rooftop? Mina, I do. Not my greatest moment. Quite honestly the lowest moment of my life. Thanks for the reminder. Mina said with an amused smile, that moment no longer being a moment of sadness for her. It was more a moment of embarrassment than anything else. A moment of her teenage self thinking that her life was over when in reality it was just beginning. A moment when she was finally able to feel with all her heart that Izuku truly loved her and that his "I love you" wasn't just naiveness but a true devotion of his feelings for her. Izuku held the small box tightly in his hand and kept talking, making Mina remember something else. "Izuku, sorry. But I'm going to need you to remember a little more. Remember what I said that slipped out? Something that had to do with my mom. Mina, Tsunamiku, you talked to her to get her ring for when we turned." "Izuku," Mina started to say in an amused tone, but then when realization hit her, his real name slipped out in a whisper as her eyes started to blink rapidly. She covered her mouth in shock when Izuku stood up from his chair and then got on one knee in front of her. Tears streamed down her face rapidly as he opened the box, and there inside the box was his family ring. A small golden band with nothing special about it, no diamonds, no nothing. But to Mina? It was the most beautiful ring she has ever seen. Izuku took a deep breath as he finished. "Izuku, Mina. There has never been a day where I have regretted choosing you. There has never been a day where I don't wake up and smile because I have you in my arms. I know we're only but I don't care. I know what I want. I know who I want at my side for the rest of my life. I want to spend every one of those years I have left on this earth with you. So, Mina Ishido. Would you make me the luckiest man alive and become Mina Midoriya? Mina, will you marry me?" Izuku asked with a big smile, a few tears falling from his own face out of instinct and happiness. Instinct because if he sees somebody crying, he cries too, and happiness since Mina couldn't talk but was nodding her head over and over again. Mina closed her eyes tightly, feeling a large lump on her throat, as she couldn't stop smiling and crying. She can't believe she forgot about this, that she wasn't counting down the days for them to turn 21 and for Izuku to do this. But she's glad she did, since it made this surprise all the better. A single word managed to get through the lump in her throat, but it was the only word that really mattered. Mina, yes. Interviews. Izuku hated interviews. He saw them as a waste of his time and effort. He could be out there saving people. Instead, he is at a Starbucks, drinking the newest trendy coffee drink made by an underpaid barista made for him with her phone number written on the cup. Izuku hated this. Interviews. Mina loved interviews. She saw them as a good way to give the people the true story of herself and her husband. It allowed them to set the record straight, and even after so many years since her time as a teenager, she still loved a good gossip. Like how she was going to tease her husband about the barista phone number on his coffee cup. After a few minutes, the person who was going to give the interview finally came back from getting his own drink and snacks so they could begin. "Clark, thank you for having this meeting with me today." "Izuku, of course. I'm ready whenever you are," Izuku said with a bit of a sigh, as he felt Mina rubbing his thigh under the table to give him some emotional support. She knew that Izuku hated doing this, but the public has been hounding them as of late, Izuku especially, given how much of their private, civilian lives they have kept private. Which was mostly everything, since Mina was the one with the social media and the one who always handles the interviews for their agency, since she just loves being in the spotlight, while her bunny rabbit was more of a fan of working behind the stage. But every now and then Izuku had to give his fans a bone. This was said in bone, as they both heard Clark begin the interview, hitting record on his phone. "Clark, right? Let's tackle some of the bigger questions first. There have been some rumors, complaints really, from civilians and heroes of your generation that you are not the same person you used to be. That you are not as kind as you used to be. Your response to that?" "Izuku, no sheet. I'm not the same Izuku I used to be. I went through a war where I had to kill people. I have deep, and I mean deep, PTSD, where some nights I wake up screaming in a pool of my own sweat with my powers activated. It's so bad that I get triggered when I see white hair like the type Shigaraki had before I killed him," Izuku said, having absolutely no filter as he leaned back on his chair. Seriously, the ball on people these days, having the nerve to talk about him being different. He was the main fighter in that war with the villains. He was the one most affected. Since Shigaraki and AFO were coming after him, he didn't just see death, But he caused death with his own hands, and they think that wouldn't have long-lasting issues? That wouldn't change the way he viewed the world? The way he acted around people? Hell, there are days when Izuku spends hours looking at the wall, being stuck on his own head, being stuck on that time. So forgive him if he can't be bothered to be kind to everybody. Clark, right? So that's your response? People will say that that's not an excuse over a certain incident that happened while you were at school. Izuku, I may or may not know what incident you are referring to. For legal reasons I cannot confirm nor deny if that happened or not. All I can say is this, for anybody who thinks I've become too different from the boy I used to be. Go if yourself. Izuku said in a dry tone, not caring about the opinion of his old class, who apparently are still running their mouth about business that doesn't involve them. Funny how he hasn't said a word of the fake hero that is Ida, who only follows the rules so strictly because he knows deep down that Stain was right about him the second he decided that revenge was the same as justice. Yes, Izuku attacked them, but he didn't pretend that it was for justice. It was 100% for revenge and as a deterrent. Clark, seeing the anger in the face of the man who could kill him just by flexing a muscle, tried to calm the situation down. Clark, if you want, this part can be off the record. Izuku, it's fine, I want them to read this. I changed. That's what happens when you send a 14-year-old child to war. But you're so right. I'm sorry, and I'll try to be the happy little doormat that everybody expects me to be. Izuku said with a fake smile and a happy tone that reminded Mina back when Izuku was 14 and always so determined to be a hero. Time and experience didn't extinguish that fire, but it definitely made it more controlled, given what being a hero truly meant in this society that churns out heroes as if they're action figures every couple of years with a new batch of them to replace the majority of the previous version that died doing their jobs. Clark nodded, being able to read the room and knowing that this wasn't the first time the hero Decuri had heard these comments. Clark, I take it that you've taken it negatively when no doubt these heroes, who shall remain nameless, have no doubt told you to your face that you are different. Izuku, honestly, the nerve of those people, especially those who went to war alongside me but have some kind of moral superiority complex, since they didn't have to take a life to end the conflict. You want to know why I became like this? Go to war at 14, go through all that trauma, and then if you come out the other side completely the same as you used to be, then maybe I'll give your opinion an ounce of consideration. Izuku said with a huff at the sheer audacity that people have to judge him for becoming almost unrecognizable from the boy he used to be. If they wanted him to stay that way, maybe they shouldn't have allowed children into a FING war. If, God forbid, an event like that happens again, Izuku will make sure that if he has children with Mina, they will be far away from the conflict, and Izuku means another country type of away. Izuku does not care if they want to help. They are too young to be involved, just like his class was too young to be there, but hey. They were all determined to help, so there was nothing that could be done about it, right? Izuku is still shocked that Nizu and that school didn't get sued into oblivion for allowing that. Clark, seeing that Izuku was busy muttering to himself, he turned to Mina with a bit of a nervous smile. Clark, right? Let's give you a moment to cool off. Alien Queen, can you answer the allegations that, oh dear. That you're a woman. Questionable morals? Mina, oh honey, that was so hard for you, wasn't it? Mina said with a small giggle, seeing the blush of uncomfortableness in the man, having to read his next note card of questions to ask. Mina can take quite the educated guess of what the real question was. Why is the number one hero married to a slut like the Alien Queen? She has seen those messages a million times over and has grown thick enough skin to not let it bother her anymore. If anything, she feels a certain type of kinship with her old teacher Namuri Kiyama, the Midnight, for having to deal with the same crap. Clark gave a nervous chuckle as he pulled on the neck of his shirt. Clark, I was raised in a small town in Kansas. My daddy would use the belt on me if I ever used any foul language in front of a lady. Mina, how adorable. What can I say about it? I could say that if I were a man, this wouldn't be an issue, and that they would see me as a player, or somebody who should be admired, an alpha, as those red pill single brain-celled men call themselves. Or that society has a real messed up double standard since they beach and about a girl having a big body count, But when it's the man who has it, the woman should just accept it and not see it as a reason to not date him. I could say that, Mina said with a smile, unlike Izuku and his whole body language that screamed frustration and a desire to leave. Mina, on the other hand, leaned forward on the table with her elbows on the table and had an amused smile on her face, seeing the adorable little reporter wanting the earth to open up and swallow him whole over having to ask the ranked 34 hero in Japan this question for his international audience. Clark was regretting every decision that led him into doing this interview by himself. He really should have let Lois come to do the female side of the questions, but he wanted to surprise her with this, so he powered through. Clark, right? So if you're not going to say that, what will you say? Mina, I had section. Big whoop. I'm still human. So I have a bigger body count than my husband. Does that give any of them a right to judge me? To call me and my husband, and I quote, slot queen and Captain Psycho simp? Honestly, grow the F up. Mina said with an uncaring shrug, thinking of those people on the internet who don't have the common decency of being respectful and minding their own business about other people and their relationships. It's easy to judge when they're in the safety behind the screen, but when they meet Mina in real life, they smile and pretend like they never said that immature crap on the web. Mina bets that those same people are right now cheering for Angel Dust and Husk from Hazbin Hotel to become a couple. Funny how they don't have a problem with Angel Dust being aware and Husk having a much smaller body count, but they did about her and Izuku's relationship from the safety behind the screen of the web. A web that even if you delete, the message is still there somewhere, since it never permanently erases. Clark nodded and quickly decided not to ask another question, since he hated every second of that. He moved on to something easier. Clark, right? Then what about the allegations that people consider you to be toxic for Deku? Mina, that I am. I'm human, ergo, I have my faults like any other person. I'm not a perfect person, since such a thing doesn't exist. Mina said with a bit of laughter at the stupid argument. Being toxic, just because she liked to have SEC a bit younger than most. So what? Who did that hurt? Mina was cleaned of any STDs, and yet that wasn't good enough. Since she had a body count, that meant that she didn't deserve to be with anybody. That she should be shunned by society for being so irresponsible, right? What a joke. Mina can't believe she almost let those words take away everything, including her life in her late teens. Now that she's been a hero and had to deal with so many worse PR scandals, Mina is just numb to doing it all, to the point of laughing at those same people who call her that. Izuku sighed as he pinched the bridge of his nose, finally talking again. Izuku, that one really pisses me off. They act like I'm this grand person outside of the suit that should be with somebody else. Clark, then what is your response to them? Clark asked, looking at Izuku. It was important to get Mina's response on this issue, of course. But the hero Deku is so quiet about his public life and opinions that his words were worth gold for any reporter. There's a reason why Izuku kept quiet. It's the same reason Toshinori kept quiet and single for so long. To be number one meant that the Hero Association had their hand firmly up his butt, and he had to get permission to say anything on social media, to the point that Izuku just doesn't do it at all. Hell, this interview is only happening because the Hero Association suggested it, to calm the controversial press that's been going around. Izuku, sorry to break this to you all. I have my faults too. I can be heroic to the point of being suicidal, of not caring about my own well-being. I can be so stubborn that I won't listen to the opinions of others, thinking that I'm right when I'm not, and that has caused lives to be lost because of me. There are times when I hear a ringing in my ear as a traumatic response, and I lose my sense of reasoning and just become a monster-killing machine, since I'm brought back to the war. I could go on. I'm also toxic in my own right. Izuku said with a deep frown on his face, being able to understand what Batman meant when he told Red Hood, no. God almighty, no. It'd be too dmed easy. All I've ever wanted to do is kill him. A day doesn't go by when I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt out to others and then ending him. But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back. Jason might not be able to get it, but Izuku does. It's so much easier to compromise on his morals and let that side of him take over for the greater good, but every time he does, he loses another piece of himself. Mina grabbed Izuku's hand under the table and gave the hand that was so messed up with scars from overuse of his powers a squeeze as she continued the interview, giving the future readers of this a reality check of what it means to be in a real relationship. Mina, a real relationship isn't one where both people are healthy. In this day and age, that doesn't exist. A real relationship is one where both partners have faults, yes. One of them is considered a slut, the other a simp, but we care about each other in spite of our flaws, and we help each other be better. Izuku, very true. Mina has helped me stay grounded. I'm not going to regret being with her just because some ink-elves on the internet can't handle if their girlfriend has a bigger body count than their own. Izuku said with an amused huff of air, since he can already picture the type of people that had nothing better to do than to come and complain about him being completely different from how he used to be, or that Mina was a slut, as they called her. Safe to say that neither Izuku nor Mina had a high opinion of those absolute basement dwellers that thought they had this moral authority to tell others how they should be acting, to have something that both Mina and Izuku know they themselves don't have. A romantic partner. Mina grinned as she got closer to the phone to make sure it got what she said next nice and clear for those men at the back of the class. Mina, and newsflash, people, your girlfriend is lying to you about said body count, whatever number she told you. It's bigger, she just doesn't want to deal with the man-child that is so insecure that he can't handle that fact. Clark said, neither of you are scared that this response will probably make those people who already saw you as as those titles even more? That they'll double down? Clark asked and then got his response when Mina grabbed Izuku's chin and pulled him towards her, kissing him deeply. Clark stumbled with his camera and took a picture of the hero power couple, showing affection. Another rare thing, given that they keep their romantic and professional lives separate, another lovely rule that the Hero Association is making them follow if they want to have a healthy relationship with the people who are in charge of them and who are in charge of giving them the best contracts. Since the hero career is the same as any other career, you have to play the game of corporatocracy. Right now, that picture might have ruffled a few feathers, but nothing that will cause a big stink about it. Mina let the kiss go and tried to sit back down. Keyword tried as Izuku grabbed her hips and sat her on his lap as he answered Clark's questions. Izuku, I'll be so sad that I have my partner and love of my life next to me while they're alone feeling so insecure that they felt like they needed to talk and force their morality into our relationship. A morality that if they don't learn how to compromise on it they will never find a partner, since that perfect girl they're waiting for? She doesn't exist. Well, that's not true, their right hand makes for a good second place. Mina, I say let them. Not gonna change the fact that Zuzubatical and I have been loyal to each other, that we've been there for each other, and that while they're alone waiting for a mythical partner that will never come, he and I will be busy being together, sking faces, among other things that are meant to be SCKD. Mina said with such a flirtatious tone that it made Namuri in heaven proud and want to give the girl a high. Clark turned beet red overhearing that as his hands started to shake, almost making his note go all over the place. Clark coughed loudly to gain back his confidence and continued the interview that can put his little news station on the map. Clark, let's move on. What about the allegations of you two calling the hero Uravity a broke girl? Mina, she started it. Mina said with an uncaring shrug. Clark looked at Mina and Izuku, waiting to hear more than just that. The three of them just sat there, looking at each other, waiting for the other to say something, anything, but nobody did. The only sound that could be heard was the ice in Mina's glass of water becoming smaller and, as a result, moving in her glass. After a bit more of this silence, Clark pulled on his collar as a nervous tick as he tried to get a different response from the professional heroes in front of him. Clark, that's not exactly going to make the public sympathize with you too. Izuku, grind me into a fine powder and then look at me inside a microscope and see if you can find a particle of me caring about that. Izuku said in a dry tone that topic was not even worth having. Ochako started all of this because she couldn't get over the fact that Izuku picked Mina. She started it when she said that Mina would have talked behind the back of another person if the shoe was on the other foot, which she wouldn't. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but Mina wouldn't do that if you think I'm wrong? HTTPS. UTA BEIIA 1ZLKRU 6W. SI8IUV05 LIMZDM5 says. You look at that video and tell me that that girl would talk shit about her friends or the people that she cares about. Go ahead. Oh wait. Mina, it's not about sympathy. We genuinely don't like her and don't want to respect her, for personal issues between the three of us. All I can say is this. She lost. I won. Get over it already. Later. Izuku, hopefully that will get the hero association off my butt for a while at least. Izuku said with a loud groan of exhaustion, taking off his hero suit and just throwing it on the ground, with Mina doing the same thing. They spent hours in that interview, and then they still had real hero work to do. Both of them were absolutely exhausted. Mina grabbed 2 hard iced tea lemonades and tossed one of the cans to Izuku, who took it before collapsing on the couch. Izuku opened the can and took a long sip of it until his mouth was full and then swallowed. Mina, I'm sure it will. So, I know it's my turn to cook, but honestly I'm mentally drained. What do you think? Indian food or Italian food tonight? Izuku, Italian. I want some pizza. Izuku said as he felt Mina collapsing on top of him, both of them grabbing different remotes. Izuku grabbed the air conditioning remote and turned that puppy up to full blast, while Mina grabbed the TV remote and scrolled through the channels until stopping on the Toonami channel. The thought of pizza sounded so good right now. Mina took her phone out and started dialing the number for their local pizza joint. Mina, the same pizza with extra sausage. Izuku. Feel proud of yourself? Do you feel proud of yourself for picking that low-hanging fruit? Izuku said in a dry tone, ashamed that his wife would make such a joke. He expects better from her. He groaned again for an entirely different reason when Mina started to grind on his lap. How she loved to remind Izuku which of the two was in charge in this particular aspect of the relationship. Mina placed the phone to her ear, hearing it ring, and glanced at her husband with a smirk on her lips and her eyes glowing a toxic yellow as she spoke to her little bunny rabbit, who was obsessed with the blessing that God gifted her. AKA, Izuku was an butt man, from feeling to kissing to eating. The scandal if the public ever found out that the #1 weakness of their #1 hero was the butt that won't quit of hero number Mina. Very proud of myself.